Tracy Offutt.
All right.
Welcome back to the podcast.
We're back.
Jesus, dude.
I know, man.
Audio issues. People at home don't even know.
No, they don't. They don't know that the last 10 minutes was you trying to fix.
Troubleshooting.
Yep.
Calm troubleshooting. Calm is always down, right?
Yep.
Fuck, man.
Dude,
how you been?
Good. So I have a question for you before we get into we got off on a cloud.
Okay.
You changed the name
To
the name of the news part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that for me a little bit?
So you're talking about my J. Kramer Graphics page.
Correct.
On Instagram and Facebook. I switched to Former Action News.
Okay.
That's what happened. So, are you asking why did I do that?
Why and how what was the benefit?
So, I never post any kind of graphic design stuff on my actual page. Very rarely. I mean, how often have you ever seen me post anything about my designs or anything like that? It's every once in a while I'll throw it in the stories, like, hey, new design up on the website, new sticker up, whatever. I wasn't really sure what to do with the J. Kramer Graphics page because I'm like, hey, it's J. Kramer Graphics, but I don't ever post any design stuff, you know? And then on the Facebook page, I was always just sharing news articles and stuff like that. Same with the Twitter, the Former Action Guy's Twitter page. And I was like, you know what? I really need to just pull the trigger, bring all this under one umbrella, and like make it one kind of brand. So I changed the J. Kramer Graphics page to Former Action News, and it's going to focus now on current events like military history stuff, same kind of stuff it already was.
Right.
But now in the stories, like if you go to my Instagram stories, any interesting stories that I read on Twitter, I screenshot it and I put it up in my Instagram story so that you can see like the current news that's going on.
Right.
And not just like Ukraine or whatever, but like stuff all over. So so there's that. Nothing's changed on the Facebook page. Actually, the Facebook page still says J. Kramer Graphics because I didn't realize that you have to, or I didn't realize it was going to take so long. You have to request a name change from Facebook, and it says it's supposed to be done within like 3 to 5 days. Like the name should be approved or whatever. And it's been 2 weeks almost.
Yeah. And
nothing's changed. So I'm like, well, it is what it is, So, but yeah. So Former Action News. I just want to share news content and stuff like that. I mean, I'm always sharing it. It's just, dude. It sucks seeing so many people like sucked in by like bullshit, by like fucking real fake news, like real twisting of the facts and stuff like that. So I wanted to try to provide a spot that tries to, I don't know, at least show something that's been vetted, I guess, or stuff from sources I trust, Yeah,
the vetting is so important now. You get so much fake crap.
Everything's bullshit, man.
Everything is. I'm getting kind of disgruntled because I'm a news junkie, and I kind of get disgruntled because I'll watch like Epic Times, Epic Times. I'll listen to them. I'll do some Ben Shapiro, Dr. Steve Turley. I'll do few different things, and they have differing opinions on certain events. And then I'll listen to the little news break, CBS News, and it's nonsense. It's completely nonsense, and I'm like, dude, if you give me a break.
There's way more detail to a lot of these stories that's left out, or maybe not left out, maybe it's buried in the story sometimes,
Oh yeah.
And a lot of times people don't want to look up that stuff, and it's just yeah, dude, the news is hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the propaganda, we talk about Russia propaganda and they're bad. But to pretend like, and this is obviously Ukraine specific, to pretend like there's not propaganda on both sides would be a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost of Kyiv, Snake Island, fake.
Yep.
The other day they were talking about on the news how it was horrible that the Russians had bombed like a shopping center. But then like the next day or the day after, there was photos of the Ukrainian military vehicles parked undercover in the shopping center.
Yeah.
So it like made it into, it's like, which this doesn't mean like, obviously I'm not rooting for Russia or anything like that, but tell me the fucking truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Quit trying to fucking tell me what you think I need to hear and just tell me the fucking truth and let me figure out what's going on.
Yeah, don't try to sell me.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the, you know, how they lie about why we're doing what we're doing, right? So some of my buddies, they're like, dude, we went and fought in Iraq and you know, to save the petrol dollar or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I can see that as if that is in fact true, I don't know, but if it is in fact true, I don't think we went there for oil. That's stupid, because gas would be 25 cents a gallon if we did that. But
are you talking about for the Gulf War or
for the Gulf War or
yeah,
Gulf War, you know, Iraq, Afghanistan, you know, the whole.
Well, that's a stupid narrative. That's people that use that like, oh, we went there for oil. Like, no, did we?
Yeah, that's a one-liner. That's one of those stupid throwaway one-liners.
We don't get their oil. It's not like we have like our dudes there and we're getting it for free or something.
Yeah,
like you're saying
it's all bullshit. But if it, in fact, let's say that it was not bullshit, I'm okay with that as long as they say, hey, we need that for our own lifestyle to maintain America, whatever. Cool. Don't lie.
Yeah.
You know, we're there to save the babies.
Because when you start lying, it's like, dude, like, how if you're gonna lie about some bullshit like that, how can I trust you with like major stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like and I get it when you're talking about war reporting. There's sometimes you know it might be harder to fact check stuff immediately or something like that. But like this whole Snake Island stuff, Ghost of Keys stuff, that was obvious. You know, like, that's great. It's cool from around. It's like a cool, like...
Yeah, it was cool to hear.
Yeah. But, like, major news outlets shouldn't be sharing stuff like it's... Like, there's a legitimate chance that it's true. Because there's no way that it was true.
Their problem is they want to be first and more... It's like sensational journalism. Mm-hmm. Like, everything is the Enquirer now. Mm-hmm. Everything is the Enquirer. Yeah. Although, now if you go back and you look at some of the Enquirer articles from the 80s and 90s, they're true.
There was a couple things that they were true, that they were first on too.
But that's the thing.
Yeah,
they want to be sensational.
Yeah, for sure.
And they want to be first, not right, not accurate, just first.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
And I think they have the benefit that we have so much information now that they don't even care, because in a week you'll have forgot about that and you'll be on to the next lie.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely move in news cycles, you know. It's not good.
Way faster.
It's not good. My phone's ringing. I forgot to turn that off. I'm gonna do that right this second. All right. And yeah, man, it's just so yeah. Since the last time we spoke, there's been all kinds of stuff. I did want to talk to you though, because you were a former anti-armor guy. You know, you were a dragon gunner back in the day. So, what are your thoughts on how poorly Russian armor has been doing during this whole debacle?
I don't. That's the problem. I don't know how much of that is true. You know, I don't know if the video I'm watching of these guys ambushing a BMP is that real?
I think so.
You know, or sometimes I'm like, is that file footage? Have you seen Wag the Dog?
No, I have not, but I know what you're talking about, and I know the concept where they like build a war to get the American public behind the administration and like help them in the election and stuff. There's
a scene in that movie where they're all sitting in a room, and there's a screen, and there's a lady running with a baby in a village, you know, Eastern European village, right? And the guy's like, "Hey, give me some more smoke from the building." Okay, and now add some screaming, and I want some machine gun fire. And they're adding these things to this.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know the exact scene you're talking about.
Yeah,
too.
And I'm like, God,
how far off is that?
And how much have I been fooled in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that the tanks and stuff we're seeing get blown up, or I think almost all of that's real. Because I think if it was file footage or old footage, normally you hear about it. I'm on Twitter all the time looking at that stuff.
Yeah.
And normally someone comes on and calls it out. They're like, "Hey, this is a video from this date." Okay. You know, if I'm unable to find the source, there's always somebody else out there on the internet looking to find, because people get pleasure in that, being like, "Oh, look, you shared a fake video," you know.
Yeah.
So
I've done that myself. I've made that mistake.
And some of the photos and videos, there's a guy on Twitter his name's Rob Lee, and I follow him, and he does he has some really interesting stuff. They actually geolocate the photos. You know, they're like, all right, it was taken, and they'll find the exact spot. They'll be like, from this angle, here's where the photo was taken, and they'll use Google imagery and shit like that, and be like, here's the field of view, and it'll be highlighted. So they're like actually, you know, checking some of this stuff to make sure.
So if within that, it's a lot easier to be a guy on the ground, personal opinion, hunting tanks, than it is to be a guy in a tank hunting people.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
they're not using dismounted infantry. It doesn't look like they have any kind of scouts like going ahead and finding where they're all getting clumped up and shit because they keep getting stuck.
Yeah, I understand their concept, kind of like the whole blitzkrieg type of concept.
Yeah, they're doing World War II tactics.
Yeah, swing in there and just punch the
Destroy
shit out
everything.
of everybody. And I'm all over that. But, yeah, you got to have something out there in the tree line, especially now. I mean, the Dragon, that was 1,000 meters.
Okay.
But
they're saying a half mile, I think, with it's a half a mile they can hit a tank with the British version.
Of the Dragon?
Or whatever
the Javelin.
The Javelin. But whatever the British version of that is.
And I don't know that much about the Javelin, but I know the Javelin's a hell of a lot faster because with the Dragon it took 10 seconds to go 1,000 meters.
Oh wow!
And
That's
you had to hold your sights on what you were shooting at, and you only had so many adjustments. There were 66 motors on it, and it was, you know, on the sides, little rockets. And so if you made too many adjustments, you'd run out of rocket motors, and it would bounce. It would.
That's crazy.
So you had to be like balls on, and I'm holding, and as it moves, I got to make my adjustments real easy so I don't use up too many rocket motors before it gets there. I think the Javelin is like, and it's there.
As soon as you launch it, you can move.
Is it fire and forget?
Yeah, because what it does is it takes a photo of the heat signature, and it tracks that heat signature the whole way.
Dude, you could kill tanks all day with that.
And it has two modes. You can shoot it like straight on or top, you know, from the top.
Yeah, where it comes down.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know. We always thought that like, hey, they have these anti-missile, anti-whatever capabilities on the tanks where like if you do that, almost like flechette from a helicopter or something,
right?
Like it's going to shoot that out and hit that instead. But it sounds like that shit ain't working. Like they're just getting schwacked, and they're even going to the links of putting like wire birdcage, basically the wire.
Yeah, like we used to do for the RPGs.
For the RPGs, yeah. They're trying to do the same thing on the tops of the tanks, but even that's not helping.
No, because they don't just hit and explode.
Yeah,
they hit, and then they have that, I forget the name. It starts with a C. It's like a shape charge. It blows through the metal, and then or through the protective layers.
Yeah.
And then the explosive shoots through that hole into the tank or into the vehicle.
It's a explosively formed projectile, EFP.
EFP, yeah. I think it was called conical.
Yeah, it's a conical piece of like copper, and it looks like almost like a shallow bowl.
Yeah.
And when it blows up, the heat and the pressure of the munition turns that conical. It like inverts it, turns it into molten like copper, and shoots it through any kind of metal and stuff. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, the methodology for killing. We had our gunner got hit in Iraq. They had a IED, and they set up a metal tube with a piece, because you couldn't. The IEDs weren't, even though the very first, like we called it the ghetto armor, where we just welded shit all over the Humvees.
Yeah.
That shit was stopping them.
Sandbags, yeah.
Yeah, sandbags, pieces, shit hanging down. It was stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
And the windows were really working well. Mm. But he got hit. It was a flat piece of metal like that big around. Shot out, went through, just cut a perfect circle in the window.
Yeah.
Caught him right here and took his bottom jaw off.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. He's a bad motherfucker, though. He got out of the vehicle. His tongue was hanging down. His jaw was hanging on by just a piece of meat, like hanging, and the jaw bone was like hanging there. And there's a piece of meat holding like that. His tongue was hanging down, and he got out, and he freaking was like self-aid himself. Like, I got this. That bad motherfucker, man.
Dude, did he survive that?
Yeah. Yeah, he went back. They put all that shit back together and...
Modern medicine, dude.
Yeah.
50 years ago, you'd have been fucked.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have been walking around with no jaw.
Yeah, you'd have died right there. Yeah.
Man.
But he was fucking tough, man. I was like, I want to be like that dude.
Yeah.
So he's like, I got this.
Yeah, let me put it back in my chin strap.
His tongue is hanging down. Yeah.
Oh.
I was like,
that had been fucked up to see that, though.
And the human tongue is like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, dude. That's not... Man, wounds... traumatic wounds like that, that's why I would never want to be a corpsman. You know?
Those are some bad dudes, man.
You have to deal with that, you know? Like, not every day. Most days it's like, change your socks, fucking drink some water, here's your Motrin.
Yeah.
But, like, when you get called up, you know, to the show, it's time to go over to freaking Afghanistan or wherever, you know, it's combat time. Like, those dudes can see some crazy shit.
Yeah, we had a kid get the shrapnel from the IED went through the gap in the armor on the 7-ton. I was in the back. Well, there had like 2 squads in the back, and it knocked the vehicle out. Like you could smell the radiator fluid and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so you know how you touch everybody. It's dark as shit, and we're doing a raid. Like, hey, we're good. I don't always say, is everybody okay? Because the guy who's not okay, he ain't answering. Mm-hmm. You know, so you got to like 1, 2, 3, good. And I went to the driver's side door. I opened the door, and the shrapnel had gone underneath his helmet and across the top of his head and blown out like part of his skull. And he was all fucked up. He took his dick out and started pissing on me. And I was like, oh, dude, he's fucked up. So Doc, God, I can't remember Doc's name. I think it was Mendenhall. But he comes over, and this is the first casualty, you know, that he's had to deal with.
Yeah, like real world.
Yeah, and I could see, like, hey, he's nervous, man, because this dude's brain is coming out of his head. I had to take his helmet off like this and over so I wouldn't, like, scoop his brain out with the helmet.
Fuck, dude.
And Doc came, and he's, like, trying to put dressing on it. And, of course, there's blood everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. And he's trying to put the dressing on, and he's trying to tape it like you normally would. But you can't. There's nothing to stick it to. There's hair, and there's blood, and there's fucking pieces of bone and shit. And I could see that I would like, damn, he's going to be fine. Doc he'll figure it out, but it's going to take a second. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, dude, we got to use a wrap, you know. But he was responsible. That was the thing about Doc. He was responsible, and he knew he was responsible. Mm-hmm. So that's why he was scareder than I was, I guess, because I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck up when it's like your time to do your thing.
Yeah, it's your time to shine.
And that's for real, dude. If you fuck up, you know, you're like literally someone's life in your hands.
Yep, but he saved that kid.
That's good, man.
Yeah, he went to Palo Alto and...
Man.
But, yeah, he saved him. And I think he went to MARSOC or...
I got lucky, man. I never had anything crazy like that happen. You know? Like, we had some guys get injured. We had an Afghan dude get his foot blown off, and, you know, a dude get shot in the stomach, and, you know, some stuff like that, but I wasn't, like, standing there with some dude's jaw hanging off, you know?
Yeah, that's
especially
crazy.
One of our own dudes, you know?
It's funny, because when it's somebody else, everybody's different.
Yeah.
So some people are like, I can't talk about it. Whatever, man, that's your thing. I loved every fucking second of the worst moments. What I didn't love was sitting around in the hot-ass truck waiting for the engineers to finish doing something, or, you know. If it was balls to the wall, blood and guts, I was freaking totally happy.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the problem. When we came back, I got orders to Oregon, and I spent the next 2.5 years drinking because...
I&I. What are you going to do?
Yeah, there was nothing. And I'm lucky.
It's a different world.
Yeah, and it was, you don't deploy.
Yeah.
You send little units, you know. Luckily, my counterpart, the Reserve Sergeant Major, he was super awesome. He's a prison guard at the federal pen in Florence, Colorado.
Oh, the Supermax.
Yeah, so he was like a lieutenant there, you know. He had like the shoe bomber.
Yeah,
his
that's
wing.
where all the crazy ones are at.
He had a bunch of dudes, And I used to kid him. I'd be like, hey, dude, fucking beat that motherfucker. Every chance you get. Every time I go to the airport, I got to deal with this bullshit because of that one ass clown, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, we can't do that. He goes, that's,
That's another weird job, man. Like being a prison guard.
Oh, man, I couldn't do that.
Like being in charge of locking up humans.
I couldn't do that. He'd tell me some cool stories like if you wanted to piss somebody off, give them the wrong potato chips.
Yeah? Well,
they get their chow like a sandwich and chips or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes like, yeah, you just switch his Lay's for Fritos and they will freak the fuck out, tear their cell apart. One dude cut his balls off.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he cut his own balls off.
People are crazy, dude.
And there's nothing in there. So he was telling me that it's all concrete, right? Mm-hmm. The rack is concrete. The sink is concrete.
Yeah.
They'll push on the concrete for days and days and days until they get it to come weaker. And they'll crack a little piece. They'll keep doing it over a period of 6 months or a year until they get the piece of the rod, yeah.
Yeah.
Or a piece of concrete big enough that they can sharpen it. And that just crazy shit that they would do. And this dude cut his balls off.
Got nothing but time.
Yeah.
I think, dude, in that one, I've looked it up before. They're all in individual cells. And it's all, like, basically solitary confinement. Like, the entire time they're there.
Yeah, I think he was telling me something about that. Like,
it's all the worst of the worst.
And you get, like, 45 minutes of yard time by yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of their job is like, hey, take number 1 to the yard, and then you take number 2, and I guess there's more than one.
And it's just a little outdoor courtyard where they can just walk in circles.
Yeah, and they can get some sunlight and not go completely mad. The Mormons had a prison back in the 1800s. It was like half a mile long, and it was nothing but a half a mile long building with rooms on either side with no windows. No windows, nothing, just a slot in the door for chow.
Really?
And they would stick people in there. I was reading about, they would stick them in there, give them a Bible, and feed them. They were like dogs in a kennel with no windows, no nothing.
Just read your Bible.
Yep. You're either going to come out right or you're going to freaking be batshit crazy.
Fuck prison, man.
Yeah,
that sounds like a horrible time.
No, I couldn't even. I spent a couple nights in jail when I was a teenager, and that was enough.
Yeah.
Just the overnight, like not even in with the criminals.
Yeah.
You're in with the other idiots that are stupid.
Out in Gin Pop? No, yeah, I was in the holding tank as well overnight. Fucking, that sucks, man. Going to jail sucks. I can't imagine prison.
No, fuck that.
But I've heard a lot of people say they want to get out of the jails and into the prison. Like if they're serving a long sentence.
Oh, really?
Because the jails are actually worse than the prisons. Because it's a lot of people awaiting trial and people, in jail for their crimes.
Right.
So you have a big mixture of dudes that didn't really do much and dudes that are hardcore.
That are real criminals.
Yeah, and it's like, so I guess it's a lot more dangerous in county jails than it is in like the prisons.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But either one, man, fuck.
I follow this one guy. He's from Anaheim, I think, but he was in New Mexico when I discovered him. He does like burpee workouts and stuff. And
sounds like a horrible idea.
He was. I guess he was there on some kind of probation or something. Mm-hmm. So he went to prison, and then he was on probation because he couldn't leave New Mexico until a certain time. And then one of his videos, he's got his walking papers. He comes back to Anaheim, but he tells he got some really interesting videos. He's a young guy, maybe in his 20s, but he's got some good ones like. He started off with workouts, burpees, pull-ups, shit like that, prison stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And but he's got some good ones like on ironing your clothes, presenting yourself well, things that he learned over time. Obviously, I watched him mature from, he was Mr. Gangster Dude.
Yeah.
And now he's still Mr. Cholo, but he's matured and he's kind
respectable, a little bit more respectable.
And he's broadened his forte.
Yeah.
But in one of his, he talks about when he was in prison, the lifers are like, dude, once you're out, never come back.
Mm-hmm.
This is no way to live the next 40 years of your life.
Yeah, I can't believe like some people they come out and go right back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what a fucking crazy way to live.
It's
just being locked. I mean, imagine like you're in the courtroom and they're like, guilty, you're going to prison, and your sentence starts now. And it's like handcuffs on, and that's it for the rest of however long.
Yeah, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, I don't know.
You're part of the system now.
Fuck, that's one of my fears.
Oh my God, man.
You know?
It would be horrible. That would be absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie Shot Caller?
I have not.
So, it's a guy, I think he's a finance guy or it's a modern day type of Nord type of film.
Okay.
But him and his wife and his buddy and his wife, they're all business people. You know, finance guys, Wall Street type of dude, whatever. And they're talking. They're on their way home from dinner. They went out to eat. They're on their way home from dinner, and they're like, "Oh, red light, red light!" And he slams on the brakes, but he doesn't make the red light. And he gets hit. A car hits him from the side.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, he ran the red light, right? And he ends up getting like 8 months for manslaughter because his buddy dies, and he had alcohol in his breath, right?
That'll get you.
Yeah, so the story, he's doing his 8 months, and then something fucked up happens. He has to defend himself. He's trying to fight through this 8 months, and he gets pulled into the gang for self-protection. And so the story is really sad because he becomes the guy. He works his way through the ranks, and he gets 2 years because he saved some other dude, but in the saving of that dude, he stabs another guy.
Yeah.
So he gets more time. And
I wonder if you can just go to prison and just mind your own fucking business and no one messes with you and you don't mess with anybody and just do your time.
I don't think so.
Is that even possible, or do you have to go in and like... Because, you know, obviously TV has fucked our minds up of what prison's actually like,
Right.
just like it has with everything else.
Yeah, we have no clue. And I don't want a clue. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Fuck that, dude.
I don't know. My other cousin, he did a couple years.
I think one of my uncles did a couple years.
I have two. I have a cousin-nephew kind of cousin. And he's a goner, man. He's going to go right back, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But my other cousin...
Man, that sucks when you see family and you're like, man, there's no hope.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
And it's the drugs.
Yeah. When is it not?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and but my one cousin, he did the halfway house thing, and he's, became a welder and started his own business, and he wasn't he was a little boy of the, he was a little one of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, he's Mr. Cool, Mr. Sensitive, the youngest kid, and but I guess he did all right. But my other cousin, God dang it, man, he's only been out like, I don't know, 6 months. He's already fucking the world away. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy that if you just got out of prison, you can't look at life and go, you know what? I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
And knowing your actions are going to lead to you going back, and now probably for an even longer amount of time.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And I guess I'm not in that position, so I can't. But I know the drugs part. But, he got out, and within a week, he's asking my aunt for a gun and a car. Like, dude, you just got out of prison. Yeah, I got to take care of some business. With a gun and a car? You're fucking out of your mind, dude.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. Don't even come here.
There's got to be people that don't mind it. That just, enjoy the simplicity of being in jail. You know what I'm saying?
I don't...
institutionalized people.
I get it, institutionalized. But I could not imagine... no females, I'm not.
Here in California, if you say you're a female and you're a male, they have to put you in a female prison.
I know.
And that's a thing. And the female prisoners there's something going on where they're upset out here because there's a lot of rapes happening in the female prisons by supposedly trans male prison, trans female prisoners.
Did you watch the one about the guy, the pedophile dude?
Which one?
So this dude...
There's too many pedophiles out there.
Yeah, this dude when he was like 16 or 17 or something like that. He was a minor. He raped a 12 or 11-year-old girl in a public restroom, like at a Arby's or something. Right?
At 16?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So now he's like 26 or something. They got him on that. They got him on something else, and they figured it out. Whatever. Anyway, so he got a light sentence. He's gonna go, and he claimed himself to be a transgender, right? Fucking Air Force, whatever. Mm-hmm. And but then the recordings of him talking to his dad on the phone came out.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, they're gonna do shit to me, man. I'll be out.
Keep
whatever.
The story up. Yeah, keep up the. Yeah. They charged him as a minor.
Yeah.
Because he was 17 when the crime happened, and they're like, well, he was so close to the age of the child, and he was a minor when the crime occurred. We can't charge him as an adult because he's an adult now. But not only did they charge him as a minor, they're going to put him in a youth home.
Yes, with girls.
Well, he was like 19 or 20, and they were going to put him in a youth home.
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
A female holding tank or whatever.
What a weird time we're living in, man.
I'm telling you. So
people are afraid to just be like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. It's like peer pressure has gone awry. Like, you ever been out with the guys, when you're like young, like Lance Corporal, and you're out with the guys and they want to do something stupid and you don't want to do something stupid. So you kind of want to be like, hey, man, that's dumb. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
But you don't want to fuck up the crowd. Yeah,
you don't want to be the guy.
Yeah, you don't want to be
fucking
Mr.
bringing down the fucking mood, man.
Yeah, Mr. fucking bad vibes or whatever. That is what I feel like all of society has become. Like the children that don't have the balls to say,
yeah,
I ain't doing that.
Some people are entrenched in their hardcore politics.
Yeah, everything has to go to that.
Yeah, it's so crazy,
and it's stupid.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate. But there's a Bible thing. Damn, I was just thinking about it. So there was a point in Israel's history where they had gone awry. God kept saving them, right? God's always saving Israel. Like, all right, you're the slave of the Egyptians. I'm going to part the Red Sea, get you guys out of here. Drop some frogs on the Egyptians and stuff, whatever. He does all this stuff, but Israel, they're like us. They're like people, right? So so they had gone awry, and God said, you know what? I'm going to leave you alone, and I'm going to let children rule you. So children are going to rule you. And I liken that to what we're dealing with now. We have a bunch of immature morons. It's like the whole thing about the whole students, right? The students in the college, they're marching. You know why they're students? Because they don't know shit. That's what student means. You don't know nothing.
Yeah.
You're 19 years old. You got the first piece of pussy you ever had in your life. You're a fucking weirdo. You're a loser, and you're a crybaby. Shut up. Shut up and listen to somebody that knows. Yeah. The problem is
people let them. There's a point where, like, right there, the other day, there was a protest at Yale Law School over free speech. There was a free speech protest, and Yale Law School students were protesting against this free speech initiative. Mm-hmm. And it was like, what the? It was to the point where they wouldn't even let the presentation or whatever it was occur. And then when you try to stop them, people are like, well, that's a free speech. They should be able to say what they want. It's like, no, yeah, they should. But that not over the other person who's literally trying to talk. Like, yeah, and that's not. You got to be able to debate the topics. If you're not willing to debate, then you're whatever ground you're standing on is probably pretty shaky.
Oh, that's exactly right. And that's the whole problem with. So that's what I'm thinking. That we have children in charge.
Well, we have fucking people that are senile.
Well, we have that
brains of children because they're so fucking old.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got some morons.
Everybody wants to elect these 80-something-year-olds. That's why when people say they want Trump to run this next year, I'm like, dude, fuck no, man. Like, I get it. People love him and stuff, but can we not find someone that's not in their 80s? Is he really the best option? And I look at him, for the people that hate me, that are me saying something bad about Trump, I look at him like Fauci. If half the country fucking hates the dude, then he's probably not the right guy to be in charge of something that involves the entire country.
Or...
You know what I'm saying? Like, if right off the bat, half the people are like, this dude, we hate him, then we could find someone that's a little bit less divisive than Trump.
I could agree with you, except for the reason that half hate him is because they believe whatever the TV tells them.
Oh,
so now you're down to 25%.
I think he got fucked. I think in the last election, I think he lost the election, but I also think that's because all the media got together and they just ran hate pieces the whole time.
They beat him up for 4 years, man.
Yeah, man.
For 4 years. Because
I agree.
He
got a bad rap for he did some stupid shit during his time. There's some stuff that should be questioned, but he also did a lot of good stuff, and he never got credit for anything.
No, he never got credit for the greatest economy in the history of the country, the lowest unemployment since we've been recording it. Teen unemployment was non-existent. Have you noticed this? Talk about that. Back to that. 25% of the people hate him because they've been told to hate him.
Yeah.
And there's 25% of the people that are just not intelligent enough to say, wow, look at all the good shit he's doing. I mean, he got a bigger chunk of the black vote than Hillary.
If it's like, dude, if you come around and go, hey, call a spade, like, hey, he did good on this and he did bad on this, I'm more apt to believe you when you say he did bad on something.
Sure.
But if you just say, this person sucks and I hate them and they're the worst and they're the, everything is negative. You never highlight the stuff that they do that is right when we know that they are doing stuff that's right. Then fuck you, man. Why am I going to listen to your one-sided, slanted bullshit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the same thing on the other side. Like when he signed a couple of spending bills, I'm like, dude, don't do that. Don't spend that much money. I understand.
Who's that, Trump?
Yeah, I understood his thought process was, hey,
Are you talking about during the pandemic?
During the pandemic,
pre-pandemic.
There was some pre-pandemic that I wasn't happy with too, because I'm not a spender. I'm a frugal dude, and I, the founding fathers were very specific about how we spent the taxpayers' money.
Now we just fucking waste it on bullshit.
Dude, have you seen the chart?
We get ripped off.
The chart where the money printing chart, it mirrors the inflation chart almost to the day. Mm-hmm. They print this much or digitally create, and the inflation, it's almost you could lay them on top of each other. They're almost the same.
Well, I don't even think it's digitally created. I think it's actually printed. I think the money that's in circulation, I think whatever the amount is, they actually have that much printed. I could be wrong.
I have no idea. You could be right.
But you're right, though. The more they print, the higher. That's common sense. That's why when people are like, inflation is because of Putin, it's like, what are you talking about? You mean it doesn't have anything to do with the trillions upon trillions we've spent in the last year?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Don't be a liar.
For the first 11 months of spending and the inflation that we saw from January till Putin invaded Ukraine, so for that period of time, all that inflation was Putin's fault. Yeah. Even though this hadn't happened.
Inflation, gas prices, all that shit.
Dude.
Something else that people didn't like about Trump that they forget is when he went to bat to ban the bump stocks.
Yeah,
the pro Second Amendment crowd, like the super pro and I'm also pro Second Amendment. Don't let me put myself out there as distancing myself from it. I have multiple firearms. Actually, I got that one up there on the wall.
I'm an American, goddammit.
God damn it, I'm American. I got a bunch of guns and I like steaks.
Yep. Meat.
But like when he did that bump stock ban, when he backed that or whatever, a lot of people turned on him for that.
Well, see, that's part of the problem. I understood the process behind it. I understood he was giving some to get some. Right.
What was he getting though?
They were trading other ships.
I'd have to go back to that time. There's obviously always more.
There's
behind
always
the scenes.
Shit going on back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Multiple things going on.
Yeah.
My problem is, and that's why I don't give to the Republican Party. Since they fucked him over that first year he was in office, and they were piddling around and not backing him.
Who, Trump?
Yeah. The Republican Party, the major portion of the party, and all the rhinos, they freaking piddled around. Well, we don't know about him, and this. They played with the Democrats, or with the lefties, not the Democrats specifically, but the lefties, right? I'm like, I'll never give you guys another dime. If I'm gonna give money, I'll give it to the.
Have you donated to campaigns before?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me who.
No, I was all Republican, like Reagan. And then but now I'll give like to the Save America PAC. That's a Trump backing pack.
Okay.
I'm not giving to Republicans because they still fund Liz Cheney, Mittens Romney, Mr. Sissy Boy,
What's wrong with Mitt Romney? What do you like about him?
Oh, he's a big freaking lefty. He's one of them. Oh, yeah.
I think he's more of a moderate Republican. I'd have to look more into his record. I know a lot of Republicans don't like him, though.
No, he's not moderate. He's a fucking lefty.
I think he got screwed. He should have been president years ago. I think he was the right choice back when he was going against Obama.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he was right. He got made fun of when he was like, Putin and Russia is our biggest our biggest threat on the planet. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? What is this, the 80s?
Yeah. Yeah, and they made fun of him.
Look, here we are.
Yep. Exactly. And what did Putin do as soon as Obama got reelected?
They took Crimea. Yeah, he took Crimea.
Dude,
I didn't know when they took Crimea, after they did that, the Ukrainians got pissed, so they built a dam that lowered the water levels in Crimea. So they no longer had like access to fresh water or as much. And I also think it affected their output of petroleum because it
and food.
Yeah.
Major food.
And that was another like justification that I think Putin was trying to use for the war and everything. Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen the whole like here are the headlines about Ukraine before Russia invaded and compared to now and stuff like that. And I've posted a video. I remember I posted a video on both, I think, my Instagram and Facebook. And it's an Azov battalion, or Azov, I don't know how you say it, battalion video of them shooting, I think it's a BMP or something, shooting a tank or something like that. And people are like, you're a pro-Nazi? I can't believe you're pro-Nazi and this. And I'm like, dude, I'm posting videos from both sides. I've posted videos of Russians shooting stuff and everything else. That doesn't mean I support Russia either, But I've seen, I don't know, there's some stuff about them, like there's people in the force that support Nazism and stuff like that. It's a weird topic, and I feel like there's no really good source to find out what's for real. Because there are photos of some of their soldiers holding up like Nazi propaganda shit.
I would say,
but I don't. But I like I said to one guy, I was like, this photo of two dudes holding up a Nazi flag doesn't mean that entire battalion supports that. Like, they may have a problem with it, but they found people in our own military that have pictures with white supremacist shit and stuff like that. Does that mean all of our military is bad as well?
And that's the whole thing. I don't know if you remember when the Scout Sniper, the SS.
Yeah.
Okay. Go back to the 91. And I told this story on one of the other podcasts, but we had a black power group in the battalion, the family. It was all black dudes. Mm-hmm. And then there was a small group, like 6 guys.
Is that what you called them, the family?
That's what they were called. That was their title, the family. And if you went into any of the rooms, everybody in the room had a picture of there was probably 30 of them, 30 black dudes, and they were in this black power group called the family. And they had a photo, like a company photo, of them in suits and the whole thing. That was the thing back then. It was the early 90s, still kind of had that 80s zoot suit kind of vibe.
Uh-huh.
So they were all dressed up in that.
Yeah.
And then in the Scout Sniper platoon, there was like 6 guys that were AWA, All White America. Really? Yeah. And so, but there was black guys in State Platoon also.
Did they all get along?
So one incident, we were in Honduras, and I was going to go to stay, and this turned me off, and I probably should have not used it as an excuse. But the black dudes were dancing. We're at the E Club at the Army base, and the black dudes were dancing, and one of the guys from State Platoon got up and started making like monkey sounds on the table. He jumped on the table and doing monkey stuff, and I was like, And so the guy told me, so my mentor was Gunny Falk, big black dude. And he was like hardcore Marine Corps guy, right? He was picture Marine, muscles, and big black dude. And he was kind of like my mentor. Every time I needed to learn something, I went to this dude. I was a sergeant. And he goes, yeah, you come over to stay, man. It'd be cool. You come over, go through the in-doc, go to sniper school, blah, blah, blah. But you're going to have to stop hanging around with Gunny. And I was like, now I'd seen both sides. Because I had a staff sergeant, black staff sergeant, that only the black guys went to meritorious boards. Only the black guys got promoted.
Yeah.
So I'd seen both sides, and it totally turned me off. I'm pretty naive in that realm,
Yeah, I think when you're one of those people that you really just don't care.
Well,
you're just all about like, hey, be a good dude.
I was totally indoctrinated in the Marine Corps thing. Dark green, light green, we're all green. I was totally indoctrinated, and I still am, but. I
never really saw, like, I'm trying to think of, like, any time I saw any outright, like, racist things beyond, like, the dudes literally sitting there joking with each other.
Yeah, but that's
because you have white dudes and black dudes or Mexican dudes, and they'll all sit there and just talk shit about each other.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all, like, it's not a big deal. It's like they're making fun of, they're like brothers fucking with each other.
Yeah, and it's totally fun.
But I've never seen someone like outwardly be like a straight like F those dudes, racist.
I've seen it twice in 33 years in the military. I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
That's the black staff sergeant that only promoted black guys. Only black guys got to, I saw that. And he's the one that told me about something about take one, make one, or something. It's a mentoring program in the black community, and it was you find another black guy and you bring him up.
Okay,
it's a pretty good concept.
Yeah.
But it should be for everyone, not just by the color of a person's skin.
Yeah.
Because, but anyways,
man, dude, crazy racist stuff like that.
Yeah, that was the only 2 incidents in 33 years.
I had Quentin Brown on, who was a MARSOC JTAC in the early days, I think, of MARSOC, and he's now a firefighter in like Cleveland or something, and he's a black dude, and he said one time they were in a locker room or something like that, and one of the operators like put his foot up on the bench or whatever, where you change, and he had a swastika tattooed on his foot, and was like, you know what that means, right? He said that to him. I'm like, no way. And I think I don't know if he said that's the only time he ever experienced something like that while he was in the military, but I was like, man, it's just crazy that, I don't know, it's just crazy that you. Even in the military, we're exposed to so many different people and so many different ideas that you can still be like, this whole group of people are bad because of X, Y, and Z. Like this, their whole religion is bad. Their whole skin color is,
it's very.
When you've met so many good people from all walks of life, you just realize there's assholes everywhere.
Yeah.
Not everybody in every group's an asshole.
That's right. Not everybody with a southern accent is a racist.
Or an idiot.
Yeah. Dude.
That's a bad thing about being from the South. I know I used to live in Tennessee. People that have real strong Southern accents automatically get written off as like, this guy's kind of a moron.
You know what? I have a buddy. He's Filipino. And we went to DI school together. And he's got a pretty thick, not anymore, it's not as bad now, but when we were, sergeants or staff sergeants, it was thick.
Yeah.
And that dude is smart, man. But even though I met him at DI school, and even though I'm pretty open-minded, I did have a twinge of like writing him off as being dumb because of his accent,
Scumbag.
I know.
Prejudice
it's
against
human.
the Southern accent.
No, he's Filipino, man.
Or, yeah, the Filipino accent.
Yeah, he got a Filipino accent.
I'm still stuck on that one.
But he's super smart, and of course, I helped him. You had to do teach-backs, right? So you had to read the drill movement verbatim, and you had to memorize it, and you're across the parade deck, and you have to shout it out. The position I'm going to demonstrate now is blah, 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 right? And they will stop you on purpose. Mm-hmm. Hey, go back to and the left thumb. Fuck.
Oh, so you have to, wow.
Yeah, verbatim. And you have to do 5 of them a week.
So some of them are pretty long, right?
Oh, they're long. Once you get a few of them, there's a lot of things are the same.
Yeah,
so you
get the flow down.
But for him, with his accent, they would fuck with him. So during field day, we'd hide in where the water heater is, outside that big water heater thing. We'd hide inside of that, and I would help him practice. And I'd make him say it over and over. And it benefited both of us, because he's got to say it without the accent, and I'm hearing it.
Yeah, you're just getting that extra
and I'm reading
reps
it. Yeah, so
that's cool.
But that's when I realized, I'm like, that little bit,
Well, yeah, it's just life experience, man.
Yeah, and
if you've only ever lived in a town that is mostly one race, and they talk shit about other people of other races that you've never met, then is it really a surprise that you don't like those people? If you've never been exposed to them and go, oh, they're really not like that.
Yeah, well, we're tribal. We're tribal by
For
nature.
sure.
Human beings are tribal by nature.
Yeah.
But you got to figure, I probably met 1 million people in 33 years.
Dude, who knows?
And
how many times have you had people come up to you like, hey, what's up, man? And you're like, I don't remember this dude at all.
I am really bad about that.
I feel so bad, too.
I do, too. Especially when they know your name.
Man. Oh, yeah. If they know your name, I'm like, oh.
Your first name,
I don't even know my neighbors' names.
I know.
I'm like, hey, what's up, dude?
Yeah. I had to talk about that. I had to write my neighbor's name on I have a whiteboard there in the kitchen,
for
smart, like appointments.
Yeah.
I wrote it, Ryan, dude across the street.
Yeah.
Just
to remember.
And then
you have to.
And then him and his wife broke up, so I forgot her name, and I had to remember the girlfriend's name, not curl the girlfriend, the wife.
Don't fuck that up.
Yeah, so I had to write her name on the thing. But
yeah, I one time called my dad's new wife by his old wife's name. I didn't call her that. I was talking to him and was like, "Oh, I saw so and so or I talked to so and so or something." And he's like, I've been married for like 10 years. Her name is this. But my dad's been married like 3 or 4 times. So I'm like, Dad, if you quit getting married.
Dude, how many times are you going to make the same mistake, bro? You remember when you were a kid?
Poor Pops.
You're a kid, you put the toothpaste on the toothbrush, right? And then you set the toothbrush down on the edge of the sink. And the top of the toothbrush is heavier than the bottom. So it falls over and the toothpaste falls off into the sink. I only made that mistake once. Yeah. Dude, that's like getting married. Oh, fuck that. I ain't doing that again.
Yeah, this was an issue. Yeah. Oh, man.
I do that, though.
We all do stupid shit.
I'm real bad about doing that. So when somebody will say, hey, I'm going to tell you about this, but you can't tell anybody. I'm like, then don't tell me. Because 5 minutes after this conversation, I'm going to forget what you told me, and I'm going to forget that I'm not supposed to tell anybody.
Yeah.
So 6 months from now,
you're going to remember and then tell someone.
I'm going to be like, hey, oh yeah, man, I remember the story. And it's going to be the wrong story for the wrong person. So I'm like, just don't tell me if it can't be said to everybody all the time, don't tell me.
That's smart.
I don't want
to be involved in your conspiracies.
Your fucking drama, dude.
Your little secrets.
I don't have time for it, and I suck at lying. I couldn't even lie to myself.
Yeah.
So I suck at lying, and one time
you're retired, man. You're supposed to be just relaxing.
That's what
just
you're
enjoying life.
Enjoy life, except for they're fucking me with the gas prices.
Oh my god, dude.
Dude, when
that's gotta hurt for traveling, right?
Fuck. So
where'd you just come from?
So we went from here to Albuquerque, picked up my mother-in-law from Albuquerque through. I got to go to the Billy the Kid Museum.
Oh, is that cool?
Yeah, it's freaking badass.
That's cool.
So this dude started it. They were out rabbit hunting. This is back in the 30s or 40s. They're out rabbit hunting, and they chased some rabbits into an arroyo, and they found 3 stacks of rifles, military stacked, down in there buried in the snow. And they were from the 1800s.
Oh, yeah.
And they had, I guess those guys got wiped out. Indians killed them, whatever. Their rifles were still there. So the guy started collecting old stuff.
That's pretty wild.
And then because it's Fort Sumter, where Billy the Kid, so they made it the Billy Kid Museum, and it's got so much cool shit in it.
I like the Old West stuff. You
Yeah.
know, the desert Southwest, like these weird little ghost towns and little old school Americana like lore. Back in the old days of the cowboys and shit, cowboys and Indians. Like,
yeah,
battling it out, you know.
Oh yeah, there's
crazy stuff.
There's cool shit there. Like the town that I went to high school in. So when Pancho Villa raided Columbus, which is the next town south, like 7 miles south of where I went to high school, Pancho Villa invaded Columbus, and they captured a couple of the Pancho Villa's guys.
Okay.
And they tried them in the courthouse in Deming, where I went to high school. And they got off because nobody could prove that they were the bandits that had... So when they came out of the courthouse, a couple guys just shot them in the street. They're like, yeah, I guess
Different
time. No evidence to convict you. Pow! But we're good. I'm going to go back. I gotta go fix the tractor. I'll see you later. You know?
Different time.
Yeah.
People bitch about nowadays, like, how bad things are. I'm like, dude, we have refrigeration. We have AC.
We are so fucking spoiled.
I can order food from my couch. You know, like I can order TV shows on demand, movies, whatever.
That's why it pisses me off. They're fucking this up. You know, the whole reset and inflation and America's too. I'm like, you guys are fucking this up. You know, we have Amazon next day.
Yeah.
You know,
we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, we have.
I can ask my phone questions.
Yes, I have every piece of human history knowledge right here.
Yeah.
I have every encyclopedia I've ever owned right here.
Yeah.
I should get a refund from Britannica. I spent like $1,500 on encyclopedias
back in the day,
and I got it right here now.
That's where I think that's part of where my natural curiosity came from. Is I remember when I was a kid, we had an encyclopedia.
Yeah,
and I used to just read it.
Yeah, they're badass.
I'm like, dude, there's all this cool stuff that happened.
Yep.
You know, that's why I don't really get into like sci-fi movies, or I'm not really into the comic book movies and stuff like that. Because there's so much real shit that's happened that's just fucking crazy. Oh, and it's like I'd much rather watch something or read something about something that actually happened and being like, damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy, you know?
And those guys are badass dudes, man. They're not... They're not pussies, you know? Yeah. Like today we have these fucking sissies. I need a safety room. I give you a safety room, you little bitch. God damn it, they get on my nerves. You can tell that...
Kids these days.
Yeah, it's just the whole like
you know, the old man yelling at people, get out of my yard, damn it.
I couldn't wait. When I was a kid, I wanted to be the old guy.
Yeah.
But you know, you go on like Facebook or whatever, and people are like, I'm having such a hard day. You're a bitch.
People that put their drama on Facebook is another level.
Dude,
those of you that know what's going on know. You know, like stupid bullshit. It's like, dude,
don't show your fucking weakness. It insults me. You know.
Nobody wants to see your drama, man.
Yep. My wife left me because you're a bitch. She didn't want to be married to another female. You know? Fuck.
Oh, my God, dude. People that put... I remember one of my cousins was really into putting everything on social media, all of her drama. Like some straight personal shit. And I'm like, dude, I can't even watch this anymore.
No, you got.
And I just unfollow them. I'm like, I don't need this in my life.
You know what? I haven't been able to unfollow people. I feel bad.
No, fuck that, dude.
I know where you're coming from, and I agree with you. I feel bad, like, I don't know. But I do get pissed.
Life's too short to be dealing with morons, man. And having the negative energy. I have people message me and stuff, again, like about that Azov, whatever battalion, or whatever. People will message me and be like, you're fucking wrong about this, blah, 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 or just like start arguing with me over direct message. And I'll like go back and forth like one or two messages, and I'm like, dude, you're yelling into the void now because I'm muting you. Like, I don't have time, and I don't know you, super random internet stranger. Like, I'm not going to spend 30 minutes of my day debating you.
If I'm having an intelligent conversation, like,
yeah,
I had a argument with. I'm into the tiki culture thing, right? So
what is that?
Kind of like a 50s, 60s. They're into like, you know, rum cocktails, tiki stuff.
I can get behind that.
You know when it was all
rum guy.
You know, it was popular.
Yeah.
After World War II and.
Yeah, they got those little figurehead, like the wooden cups and stuff.
Yeah. So there's a whole following for that whole tiki culture thing, and really cool people.
I didn't know it was like a thing though.
Oh, they're everywhere. There's dudes that buy authentic, like, you know, 1940s tiki stuff and wear it.
I bet you find all kinds of stuff here in Southern California.
Oh yeah, and there's actually a if it still exists, there was a map that you could get that was all the remaining tiki bars from the 50s and 60s along the California coast.
Okay.
There's actually one in Portland, Oregon I went to. It's freaking cool as shit, man. It got a lot of old 50s stuff, you know.
Are there any tiki bars around here?
There is. There's one here in San Diego that I want to try out. I can't remember the name of it right now, but anyways, I get into an argument with this chick, you know. I like stirring the pot. And so normally what I'll do is they'll say, you know, something, and I'll respond, and then I'll leave and come back in like 3 weeks.
See how many messages there were?
There's a chain of argument, you know.
That's what we call trolling.
Yes, I'll go in like, you know, 3 weeks later and argue with a couple of different people in that chain and then leave again. But anyways, I'm having an argument with this chick, and she's a commie. But it's an intelligent argument. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, hey, I think you're wrong on this. This actually creates more problems than it solves. And so she comes back, oh, you're a racist, you know, savage. That's her answer to everything. I'm like, well, hold on. I understand your idea, why you're doing what you're doing, but I think it creates more of a problem than it solves, and this is why. And so we had kind of a halfway intelligent back and forth. So I can stick with those. But when they just go, you know...
I used to, again, I got so frustrated during the election, the whole election, about people that didn't... They were so unaware of how shit was getting spun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And how twisted, when receiving information from legacy media outlets, how twisted that information would get. And I would get on fucking debates with people on Facebook being like, well, no, you're wrong because of, exciting sources. I was also in college at the time for journalism. So I was like watching the news all the time and shit. And I just got to the point where I was like, dude, what the fuck am I doing? I'm wasting time here. I'm sitting here arguing with some random stranger or even one of my friends. Yeah. They're dead set in what they're going to get. One of the chiefs from ANGLICO blocked me on Facebook. Me and Farrell and Rango and a group of us. Oh, because we were like, dude, what are you talking about? He was very the Russian collusion thing. He was all about it. He was completely bought into it and wouldn't listen to anything else, and just ended up blocking us all because we were like, no, dude, that's stupid. Like, this point you brought up is dumb. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, that kind of stuff I used to do, and then I'm like, fuck it, man. What am I doing? I think I'm trying to make an impact here, or like bring knowledge to people. Like, that's dumb. So now, because I have Former Action News, I can put information out there for people to see, and I don't have to argue with people about it. Like, here's the facts, here's the raw information. You want to go into more detail, go into it. And it's like, but if you don't realize like that shit's happening, it's fucked up. And I remember I told Farrell one time, and he couldn't believe it. He even asked me later on to send him the links for it because he wanted to show someone else. But I remember during the Amy Comey Barrett confirmation hearing,
right?
She said something like sexual preference is a choice or some shit like that. It was whatever she said was no big deal. And Mazie Hirono, which is she's a Democrat from Hawaii, was like, that is a what you're saying is a slur against the LGBTQ community, blah 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 blah, like all this stuff. And then within 2 hours of Mazie Hirono declaring whatever the phrase was, I'd have to look it up. Within 2 hours of her saying that, the Merriam-Webster dictionary changed the definition to say it was a slur on their online dictionary. So it's like, dude, when you see it happen, when you see a government official declare that this is a slur, and then the people that are supposedly like, resources of information back the system, immediately fall into place to make sure that people see that what she's saying is correct, is like, that's crazy, man. You're literally changing the definition of words on the fly, and they're just supporting it and no one knows. Because if you didn't know, like if I didn't tell you that, and you just went and you looked that word up, and you're like, oh, it is a slur. It says right here in this dictionary. Right. But you didn't know that they just changed it literally within 2 or 3 hours of her saying that. That's the kind of shit, though. When you see that, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, it disheartens me because to be a successful republic, you have to have an educated public. You can't just be a bunch of minions following along, playing video games and eating fucking Cheetos.
I think a lot of eyes have been opened.
I hope so, man.
You know, I think a lot of people are looking around and they're like, "What the fuck are we doing? What is happening right now?" You know, the most recent thing that they've spun is this. They call it the "Don't Say Gay" bill in Florida, and that's all it is saying for people that don't know what it is. All it is literally saying pre-K through third grade, which is basically 5 to 8-year-olds. You cannot teach sexual education to those kids.
Okay, so
that's it.
So here's my thing. Why the fuck are they teaching that in school anyways?
They shouldn't be. And it's in response to all these TikTok videos and stuff coming out of these teachers coming out to their classrooms. They're like, "Well, I'm going to sit here and I'm about to let my class know that I'm trans." Like, no, they don't need to know that. Like, just keep that shit at home, man. And the thing about the bill is, it's all sexual orientations. It's not just gay people. I can't come in and be like, "Hey, me and my straight, or me and my girlfriend or my whatever."
Right.
Like, it's all across the board.
So that is my argument with that is, why do you want to sexualize these children? Are you recruiting? What are you, some kind of freaking...
That's the thing. It's super weird. It's like, dude, quit being a groomer, man.
You're a pervert. You're a freaking pedophile and a pervert. That's what you are, because you're trying to teach little kids, but
when most people hear the reality of what the bill actually is, they're like, "Oh, I see that." Like, why would I want some stranger talking to my kid, my 7-year-old, about being gay and what that means?
And why?
What is that? What place of that is theirs?
Dude, I was a chick hunting dog when I was a kid. I loved girls from the time I was like in grade school.
Yeah,
I was chasing girls and everything. I didn't need anybody to tell me anything because I had no clue what was going on anyways. They didn't need to tell me shit.
Yeah, it's just
they don't need to tell these kids anything. It is complete perversion.
That's the kind of shit that pisses me off, though. When you see the absolutely changing the narrative, because every news outlet calls it the "Don't Say Gay" bill, and it literally doesn't even say the word "gay" in the entire bill.
Exactly,
it doesn't say anything about it. But that's what every news outlet has picked it up, so that people will be outraged, thinking that it's against
sensationalism, man.
Yeah, man.
Everybody wants to be the freaking Inquirer.
It's yellow journalism.
Yeah.
Just straight bullshit.
Yeah, and it pisses me off because I like news. I like hearing both sides. Mm-hmm. I've had my mind changed before. I have a buddy he's from Texas, and he was super right-wing conservative, and now he's kind of middle-of-the-road lefty. Mm-hmm. And he's had his mind changed, and that's fine. You
can only change minds if you're willing to have an open conversation.
Exactly.
If you're not willing to have a conversation and have your point possibly be wrong when someone's bringing up new facts, if you're not willing to consider that, then you're not being fair. You're being a biased person who's just you have an agenda
and you're remaining ignorant.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I don't want to be stupid. One time I was talking to the CEO about the psoas muscle. We were talking about doing crunches and your lower back hurting and different methods for preventing that problem. And it's because the psoas runs from your leg through your hip to your lower back. And when your abs and your glutes are weak from sitting too much, the psoas takes up the slack. Mm-hmm. Like your hamstrings take it up for your glutes when you sit too much, right? Your hamstrings do too much work. Anyways, in the conversation, I didn't know how to pronounce psoas. It's P-S-O-S or something like that. The spelling, I don't know. Anyways, so the whole conversation, I'm going, the P something, the posies or something, I don't know what it is. And he kept saying psoas. And I'm like, no, it's P, So this goes on for like 5 minutes. And I never realized that he's like, dude, and he gave up. He's like, you're not getting it.
Yeah, you're not picking it up here.
Yeah. So later on, 6 months later, I'm thinking about the conversation. I'm like, oh, he was telling me the right word.
Like, oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Then you feel like even more of an idiot. You're like, Jesus, he must think I'm a moron.
Yeah, but you don't want to be ignorant. So, listen to both sides. Open your mind.
Yeah, be accessible to new information.
Yeah, my sister's a big crystal, holistic health thing. And,
get the good spirits, man.
Yeah, get all the good vibes, dude. It's all great. It's organic, man.
Good energies from the salt crystal.
Yeah. Gotta have
use or whatever.
Yeah, it's all kinds of stuff. But I'm not completely negative towards it because some of that science, some of that hippy dippy shit is science.
Hey, if it makes people feel good, then whatever, man.
And if it works, like she taught me this thing called a lymphatic pump. And I guess it comes from way back in the Egyptian days. They were fucking with dead bodies, training doctors or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you hold the foot and you just pump it like you're pumping a little gas pedal. And it causes backflow of blood. And you could tell that it's working when someone's stomach rises with not from the air, but from the blood being pushed back up. Anyways, she taught me about it, and I'm like, that's some hippie bullshit, goddamn communist. Well, I'm just kidding her, but
yeah,
I got to do my research, man. So I start digging in the internet and stuff, and it's actually a thing.
It's like a thing, huh?
Yeah, blood pools in the lower extremities, and so when you do this, it pushes, and it actually helps the body build blood because you're circulating it. So now the for lack of a better term, the dying blood that's kind of pooled in the lower extremities is pushed back up, and it mixes with the other blood and circulation, and it helps you build your iron and shit like that.
There's parts of holistic health stuff that are legit,
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of crazy shit too.
Oh yeah, it's just like regular medicine,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some crazy shit in regular. I mean, think about the opiate thing.
Oh yeah.
Fucking
opioids.
Man, those junkies piss me off because they used to give away opiates, at Naval Hospital. Mm-hmm. They gave that shit away like
tons.
M&M's, man.
Tons.
And I never.
You get a tooth pulled or something, they'll give you like 2 bottles full of Vicodin.
Yeah, and it was awesome because
Vicodin's an opiate, right?
I don't know.
I think it is.
My dad.
I'm not into it, so.
When my dad moved to my sister's house, he'd been saving shit since the 70s, right? He got shot in like 70, 71. Took out a lung.
Yeah.
Crushed the whole side of his body. Took his entire shoulder girdle out. He got hit with a 50 cal.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah. Lucky he survived, right?
That's crazy.
So, like, if you look at him, on his left side, without a shirt, there's just a bone, like part of the collarbone, and there's nothing from here to there. And then there's a big...
He got shot with a 50 or with a Dishka?
It's a 51 caliber anti...
The Russian one?
Yeah.
That's a Dishka, the 12.7 millimeter, which is like a round. Okay.
It's man portable.
Big ass fucking round.
Yeah, it went through the side of the bird.
Man.
Hit him out the other side. And but
how
anyways,
lucky is that?
Yeah.
Just surviving that. That's crazy.
And keeping your arm.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, I just put some of that water.
But he's been, he gets his meds from the VA, and he's been saving shit since the 70s.
Saving his meds?
Oh, God. He had crates. Because, they'd mail it. Back then, they'd mail you morphine and shit. So he had crates of his... Because he would take a little bit, just enough to... He went back to work at the power company after he got back from Vietnam, climbing fucking poles, with one arm.
That's crazy. I was going to say, with fucking one shoulder blown off?
Yeah. That's a different generation. But, so he would take a little bit, but he would save it because he didn't want to run out, right? So anyway, we were cleaning out his house when he moved in with my sister, and they had 2 lawn and garden trash bags, completely full of whatever the big opiate was that they started giving out, probably in the 90s or early 2000s. 2 trash bags.
That's crazy.
Because in order to turn shit into the VA, you had to open all the bottles and dump them. And so, and so I put them in these 2 lawn and garden trash bags, right? And my sister's like, junkies will pay $25 a pill for that shit. And I didn't want to go to prison.
Yeah, it's like, well, we'll go back to our prison conversation.
Yeah, I'm not into man sex and that kind of stuff. I love working out, but...
That's tempting, though. When someone says that, you're like,
Yeah, there was...
You're looking at it like, man, I got thousands of dollars.
There was $500,000 worth of pills in those bags. At least $500,000.
Even if you weren't doing anything bad, the DEA would think you're some kind of pusher with all, you're some major dude.
Yeah.
We took down a major player here. Look at all the shit he's got.
I was afraid to turn it in. You go to where you turn in the pills.
Yeah.
And it was everything. There was, everything from gabapentin.
I don't even know what that is.
It's another nerve, pain-killing nerve thing. But yeah, there's everything in there.
I feel bad for the guys that got super injured and like have to take pills. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I've always been like, I don't even like taking, if I have a real bad headache, then I'll take like a Tylenol or something like that, or an Advil. But I don't even like doing that. I'm just not because I've seen people that get so strung out on pills. And I know you're not going to get anything from a fucking Tylenol, but my whole thought is like the less damage I do to my liver with any kind of pills, probably the better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if it's not that big of a deal, if it's just a light headache, then who cares? Just get over it.
Yeah, I could survive.
Yeah, I don't need to take something for that.
And I have an issue. I have a super high tolerance for chemicals.
Yeah.
Like when people are like, 1 whiskey and I'm done, 11 whiskeys and I'm started. So I have to.
Shit, we should have brought the bottle in here.
Yes, we should have. But I have to be careful with that stuff because.
Yeah.
I have the kind of tolerance that you could OD. Because I'm not feeling nothing. Let me take some more.
Yeah. Yeah. Pills was just not. I mean, I'm a weed guy for sure. I just know so many guys. I know right after high school when I was like 19, like when 2003, probably one of the first dudes I knew died from an overdose from pills. When we were like 19, and I'm like, damn. Yeah. And then since him, I know multiple guys that I went to school with or friends with and stuff that have OD'd.
Really?
On different stuff, man. Yeah. It's just like, fuck, man. And when I was in high school, I was in high school, I tried like flex rolls, which were muscle relaxers. I tried, what are the anti-anxiety ones or whatever?
I don't know.
There's they call it ladders. They come in ladders. Freaking, I don't know. Anyway, a different kind of pill. And they just knock me out. In like 20 minutes, I'm passed out.
Oh, man, I wish I could get that out of that.
And I'm like, what fun is this? And if you see someone that's pilled out, they're all like, hey, man, rah, rah. You could barely talk.
Yeah.
Don't remember any, they're like, I don't remember anything that happened. Ha, ha, ha. And you're just like, that's fucked up. Like,
yeah.
That's not cool, man. You lost 5 hours of your life.
And it's not fun when you don't remember it. Xanax.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun if you don't remember it. There was I
just don't get it.
A girl that she bought a little diner there on Oceanside. And I don't know the entire story, but we'd go there because it's kind of in a weird spot and parking sucks.
Yeah.
But I remember we went in there one time. You always try to try a new place, especially if it's like a local independent place. So we go in there and I start talking to the girl and she's like, yeah, I just bought it, put everything on the line, It's just me and this other chick right now working, but we're going to build up the business, blah, blah, blah. Really nice girl. Mm-hmm. And had a couple kids, divorcee, So we would regular that place. Every couple weeks we try to go there and support her.
Yeah. That's cool.
And one day it's closed, right? And I'm like, shit, what happened? She went out of business. There weren't enough people. What's the problem? Mm-hmm. No. So I'm reading the paper. Those of us that still read the newspaper, even though they're lying to us. But this is before I think they lied to us that much. And the story is in there, like, I guess they, like another relative, cousin or something, girlfriend, her and another girl or another guy, they were all found dead. They had shot up some fentanyl. They thought it was heroin or something. And
that's crazy.
In the story, they're like, the first person died instantly, but they didn't know.
They thought they were just fucked up.
Yeah, they thought they were, and then, so they all died within 5 minutes in the circle. They were shooting it up or whatever, and they all OD'd and died.
Dude.
And, dude, that's some crazy shit, like.
That is.
They were
give up everything for a quick rush.
Yep, and they were all in the same position. That was the part that keyed them off, that it was instant death. They were all in the exact same position as when they had shot up or whatever they do, however they do that drug,
God, dude. I just can't imagine, man. I just don't, I mean, maybe it's great. It's got to be. People get so addicted to it. It's got to be, when you're on it, it's got to be something awesome.
Well,
but you got to look at the fucking cost of that awesomeness.
What a dopamine.
Yeah,
it's the
that
dopamine.
rush.
So, like, you do something, right? You fix something on your car. You get a hit of like 15 dopamine drops, right? That's the success, right?
Mm-hmm.
This stuff gives you like 1,500.
Yeah.
So it's so much dopamine. So the brain is addicted to the dopamine.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with video games.
It also changes your like pain receptors. After you've used it so many times,
Uh-huh.
it alters how you feel pain and shit. So that's why when people are like weaning off of it, they're like screaming in pain. Because their body thinks that they're in pain because their fucking pain receptors are fucked up.
Or turning back on.
From constantly being drugged. Yeah,
right.
From constantly being drugged with the opioids.
Oh, man.
Yeah, dude. That's so that, like, seeing people be fucked up from drugs is why I'm like, dude, fuck all that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good with a little bit of weed. You know, keep it natural. Just kind of chill.
It's organic, bro.
It's organic. I'm not going to OD, man.
Yeah.
You know, I can... And it's not like you're buying it off the streets. You got to worry about someone putting anything in it, which, let's be honest, no one's putting anything in weed. You know?
Yeah.
I think that was a 90s scare tactic.
Yeah. No, they used to put LSD in weed.
Someone...
what was
No.
that? Yeah, that was a big Cholo thing, man. All my
LSD and weed, huh?
all my homies, the Cholo dudes, they were on the...
Was it LSD or was it crystal?
No, I don't think meth existed yet. It was, they would lace the weed with this, and it would make people fucking crazy. Like, you know, you smoke a joint, you'd be like, it's all good, bro. Let's go Let's cruise the boulevard. You know, and you can still function. You know, you might be laughing about stupid shit or whatever. These dudes would go crazy, like get naked, run in the street, punch.
I think that's crystal, man.
Punch fucking windows out of cars and shit. Like,
it's like on Friday. You seen Friday, right?
Years ago.
Smokey, he smokes a J with those Cholo dudes. Fucking gets all fucked up. You have to, man.
I haven't seen it in.
That's a classic. I actually watched it not too long ago.
And the problem was that I probably haven't watched it and actually watched it. I probably had it in the background.
Or Training Day, when he gives that dude, he tells him it's weed.
Oh,
but he's actually giving him something else.
Yeah.
And he gets them all fucked up. Yeah. None of that sounds. I mean, when I was younger, when I was like a teenager, like I would have been like acid. Okay, you know, let me give it a try, just because that was like. Maybe. I don't know, because that was my kind of vibe, I guess. I don't know. I was like a classic rock, stoner dude.
Right.
You know, Woodstock is awesome. I got the Woodstock documentary down there, like, you know, the full up, all the videos.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And, but now, I'm like, dude, fuck all that. That just, there's a lot of trouble that comes with a lot of that shit. Especially if you're like if it's so good, you're like sucked into it and you just want to do it all the time.
If you ever seen, you talk about movies, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. That's a classic, though.
It's a classic flick. It's got a freaking badass bike in it.
Yeah. Isn't that who's in that?
Oh, God. I can't remember the two guys.
It's like a famous dude in it.
Yeah, the one guy, he was real pretty.
Hoffman? No.
No. The one guy's real pretty, and then he became a boxer. He was in a car wreck or something. His face is all fucked up. He plays in all the Expendables movies.
Okay.
And the other guy's this cowboy dude.
Are you into like Old West movies and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
See, I'm not into that. I wasn't raised on it. So
on cowboy movies
I think
and stuff?
Old West, no. Yeah, I think like Old West stuff is cool. I think like when I moved to Pendleton, I it's not Old West, but it's Southwest kind of Americana. I drove Route 66 from Oklahoma all the way out to California.
Oh, that's got to be a good trip.
Oh, it was super cool. You can't just drive it. It's not like, oh, here's Route 66. Let's get on this road.
Yeah, no, you got to get on the highway and off the highway. We stopped in
Oklahoma. There's like a Route 66 museum. Mm-hmm. And I bought a book, and it gave turn-by-turn directions. Because Route 66, there was like pre-1920s Route 66. 1920s to 1940s. So this is a guy that drives Route 66 twice a year and writes a new book every year. And it's like, it's turn-by-turn directions, and it's like when you're coming up on this town, on the left-hand side, you'll see this building, and it still has its neon lights that work. On the right-hand side is this building. Right. It used to be the old whatever, and it's the whole way, you know. So I'm into that kind of stuff, but as a kid, and it's I assume because my parents never watch it, but I was never into
John
Wayne Western,
And you were in Illinois?
Well, Tennessee and then Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. Yeah, you
lived out here, though. So that's probably more part of the culture.
It's more of the Southwest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wore cowboy boots and jeans and stuff as a kid. I mean, I would still wear boots to this day, but I can't. My feet fucking hurt too bad.
I've never owned a pair of boots, like cowboy boots.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're awesome. They're awesome when
I feel like a poser wearing them.
Well, they're great for when you're drinking, because when you come home, you just
kick 'em
go
off.
like this and you shoot and you go to sleep. But,
yeah, I used to watch all the old war movies as a kid.
Yeah, I watched
Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yep.
Dirty Dozen. Stuff
good?
like that.
If you want a good character study, go to YouTube and type in 1940s, 50s Nor movies.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of the detective cop type of movies.
Okay.
And they're all like the B, they pump them out a movie every 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
But really good because the culture then was teaching morals. The movies had morals in them.
It's called propaganda.
Yes, it was good propaganda. It was teaching people. It was teaching men to be men, and to be respectful of women, and to be gentlemen, and open the car door, and all these things.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about the old westerns. The men were always men, and the ones that weren't men, that were like sissies, they were the bad guy.
They were like societal rules.
Yes.
And we all agree upon this is the right thing to do, and if you don't do it, you're kind of an asshole.
Yep. It's kind of like manners.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I was probably 12 or something, my mom was telling me, you have to do this certain thing, mannerly thing, right? And I'm like, manners, that's for geeks and losers, man. I'm a tough guy, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she goes, no, manners aren't about you. Manners are about making the people around you feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's what manners are for.
Yeah.
They're not to make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah,
all this virtue signaling, I'm with Ukraine, all that other faggot bullshit. It's not what it's about. It's about other people, making other people feel comfortable. And so that's what I like about the old ones, the westerns, or the 1940s, 50s, early 60s. Even the gangster movies, even the gangsters, even the bad guys, they had some type of honor.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, they got killed by the good guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely an old school way of looking at it, for sure. It's definitely not like that anymore.
No.
People, it's all about individual. I'll tell you what, man, living in the city has made me more cold than anything.
Really? Why?
You just get tired of people. You know what I'm saying? If I hear loud noises and shit, I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm not getting involved. If I see some homeless person walk up to my car window, I'm like, not even looking at you. Or I'll look at you and be like, what, man?
Yep.
I'm not giving you any money, dude. You just see so much fucked up stuff. You're just like, dude, I don't want to.
Well, the reason I don't give to the homeless is not because I don't have a heart for them, but because I don't want to perpetuate the problem.
Yeah.
If I give them something, I'm not helping them. I'm hurting them.
Very rarely will I give them. Usually I won't give them money, but I'll get them like a cup of coffee or something. I remember one time I was in Oceanside. I was walking over to. I just got done shooting photos down at the pier, and I was walking up on that corner. There's that Pier View Cafe or something like that.
Yeah.
Coffee shop. And I was like, I'm gonna walk over here and get coffee. And it was a pretty cold morning. There was these two homeless dudes looking super pathetic, as they tend to do.
Right.
And I'm like, come on, guys, I'll get you a cup of coffee. And it's like 50 degrees or whatever.
I know that's so cold for us.
It's so cold. In Southern California on the beach, it's kind of pretty chilly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, I'll get you a cup of coffee. And I remember walking over to the coffee shop, and I went in, and they were coming in behind me, and the dude working just gave me this dirty look and then looked at them like, what the fuck are you doing in here? And I'm like, then I was like, man, fuck you, dude. Like, I'm buying them coffee, like this is, I don't know. I was kind of pissed at him for like making it. I get his thing. Like,
yeah, I don't want to deal with these bums.
These are probably some dudes that come in and try to use the bathroom all the time, or fucking maybe there's an issue there or something like that. But I'm just trying to be. Or they don't know.
Sit there and bug the customers, make the customers not want to stay there.
But that dude is probably some coffee shop fucking dude. He's probably some kind of super pretentious like hardcore, dude.
Yeah.
About people's rights and stuff, but then he'll look down on these guys as I try to get him a cup of coffee.
And that's part of the problem. Drugs and mental illness, and nobody wants to admit that it's not. The majority of the people out there are not due to hard times, right?
No, not
the majority of them are. As a matter of fact, that's a
dirty little secret.
There's a really good. Mike Slater does it on the AM channel. He did a thing with a homeless dude, like a week-long interview type of deal, hour a day or something. And the guy's like, yeah, it's a racket. He goes, so you don't want to get arrested. Sometimes you do, so you can go take a shower and all that. He goes, but you don't really, because you have to start over. So he goes, the first thing I do when I get out of jail, I go to Home Depot and I steal a set of bolt cutters. Then I go steal a bike. And then I start rebuilding I go steal a tent, and I go steal he goes to the system. He goes, the real winners are the people that got a disability check.
Yeah.
So they got money.
They got that government money coming in.
Yep, and they can live on the street, they can get high, and then they got their check,
Yeah. But that's the kind of stuff you see, though, and you're like, well, fuck them.
Yeah,
because it's like the majority are like that.
Yeah.
There's a few times where you're like, oh, that guy's... I remember one time I helped a dude back into his wheelchair because he had no legs.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, this dude's obviously maybe he lost his legs because of drugs or something. Maybe that had something to do with it. But either way, it's a tough life when you're out here fucking running the streets with no legs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I look at that guy a little differently than I do the 27-year-old dude standing on the corner looking pathetic with his little sign.
Yeah, with his brand new Reeboks.
Especially when there's so many jobs right now.
Dude.
And it doesn't matter if you can say what you want, if it's an entry level, KFC's fucking hiring, whatever. That's a start. You got to start somewhere.
The entry level jobs are there for entry level. Do it.
Yeah.
You
got to start somewhere, man.
Have you noticed, though? Recently, I've noticed that a lot of the entry level jobs that normally would be held by teenagers or young people in their 60s are doing them now. Sometimes I've noticed a lot more, like at Ross or like that type of entry level job. What is that called? Retail type stuff?
Retail, yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of older people doing those jobs, and so I started digging again. I have to get on there and figure it out. And a lot of people plan their retirement around the income that was acceptable to live that way.
Yeah.
So, like, the husband retired, he worked for the railroad, and $2,500 a month, their house was paid for, and that was plenty of money.
Yeah, then inflation came.
Yeah, and then, and so...
Now everything's 10% higher.
And they got to make more money to make ends meet, Still got to pay taxes on the house.
I also don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing for an older person to keep a job.
No, it's
just
good
because
thing.
It's one of those things where it's like, dude, when you stop moving, man,
you die.
Like, well, how many old people you see? It's like they sit down and that's it.
Yep.
They have nothing to live for anymore. They're just counting down the days till the end.
Yep.
At least if you have a job, even if it's some menial job, even if it's like a greeter at Walmart, which is, is that a job? You're just sitting there saying hi to people all day. At least it gives you a reason to get up and get out of the house every day.
Yeah, and you got a purpose.
Exactly.
Human beings need a purpose.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
But that was one of my fears about retiring, was
what's your purpose going to be?
Not growing intellectually. Because in the military, everybody thinks in the military you're just a bunch of tin soldiers standing on the parade deck waiting to be told what to do.
Kinda,
they have no clue.
That's like the PFCs.
Yeah, and even they have to think.
Yeah.
But you're exposed to so many people, different personalities. This guy's into vegetarianism or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, don't eat before 9 o'clock. Your stomach is not ready for food or whatever." You learn all kinds of stuff, and
some of it's true.
And you're constantly learning from different people.
Yeah.
And you're constantly being challenged. Your
thoughts and ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, and being responsible for other people, you have to grow. You can't deal with things, as a gunny as you did as a sergeant.
Yeah.
You have to grow because you've learned more. And so one of my fears was, what's going to happen if I'm not challenged with solving somebody's problem.
Are you still coaching women's soccer?
I'm not now.
No?
There's a kid coaching super awesome.
Because that's the kind of stuff people do to kind of try to do something.
Yeah, and you want to give back.
Yeah.
You know, and you grow there too. I was doing the conditioning, but
the PT sessions.
Yeah, but the coach had specific things he wanted to do during conditioning, and he was really good.
So you just step aside and let him do his thing?
Oh, yeah, man. You got to get out of the way. And then, so I coached this one season, right? And then the next season I couldn't coach for some reason or another. So one of the girls who had coached before was coaching, right? One of the players. And she was so good. I felt so small. I was like, holy crap. I was like, you know all this stuff. Why didn't you tell me anything when I was coaching? And she's like, I wasn't the coach. That's badass. But she was really good.
So what do you do now then? So like, what are your hobbies to like? I know you've been working on your bus and
yeah, I'm always working on the cars, fixing stuff for people. Take my granddaughter to school, pick her up. I was teaching her for a while. They had her in a part-time homeschool thing.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man, because you can
have an impact.
Yeah, and you can teach way faster than the schools. You know, they're busy teaching. Sally has 2 mommies and shit.
And you can be more relatable too. Like, this is what this is. Like, you can get into more details when it's one-on-one.
Yeah, and why?
Yeah.
Why? So here's a great one. 1, O-N-E, right? 2, T-W-O. What the hell's the W doing in 2? It must have fell from the 1, because it should be at the beginning of the 1. 1 should be W-O-N.
Yeah, you can't try to make sense of the English language.
No.
Our grammar, spelling, and punctuation is just weird.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was fun. But now she's in a full-time school, so.
So now what?
Well.
You got to join a club. Are you involved with the VFW? Are you involved with like stuff like
somewhat.
that or other? I know you were doing like a Del Mar Surf Club kind of thing.
Oh, the Pendleton Surf Club.
Pendleton Surf Club. That's what it was.
Yeah, and they have they're doing the Madonna Project, which is helping kids with like autism or things like that. Get them in the water, get them surfing.
That's cool.
I haven't actually done that yet. That's coming up. Actually, I have the paper, but so that there you have to be careful if you get too much, because we're younger than I'm younger than most of the people like the VFW or American Legion. You'll overtax yourself because
feel obligated to do stuff for all these different things that you're kind of
and you want to run shit like
yeah.
All right, well, I'm in charge. Hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, and you'll outrun the older people in there, or you have people that are that is their thing.
Yeah.
And you don't want to step on their toes. You don't want to create that drama.
Is there like a mafia in the VFW?
No, not at all.
No?
But you can tell there's some people that's their thing.
Yeah,
and you definitely don't want to take their thing from them, because then they got nothing to do.
Yeah.
I'm still working on the house and,
just little side projects here and there?
Yeah, learning shit, talking to people.
Should do more podcasts.
You know what? My wife wants to start one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's like, let's do one, because we're always talking about stupid shit.
Yeah.
And so she's like, yeah, we could just talk about stupid shit. And if people watch, they watch. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. Do it, man.
People are like, hey, how do you stay married so long? It's like fucking Alcatraz. You just put your head down and keep grinding.
Just do what you got to do, man. There's an audience for everything out there.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about podcasting, and I tell a lot of people, I'm like, just be consistent. If it's maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks, or whatever it is, be consistent. That was the hardest thing for me when I'm even now doing the podcast, is I'm always trying to be consistent. I'm trying to now, like every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, that's when the podcast drops.
Okay.
Before it was on Thursdays. I think I had it on Wednesdays. There was a couple times for a little bit where I would drop 2 in a week, But then I'm like, then I'm struggling to find 2 guests a week.
Right.
Because one thing is people send me all kinds. Yo, you should have this guy on. You should have this dude on. And it's someone I have no idea I don't know who they are. I don't know anything about them. And I'm like, man, if it's someone that's interested, if you know them, have them reach out and see if, it's a lot easier for someone that they know to be like, dude, you should do this podcast, rather than me cold calling or sending a direct message to them on Instagram, because they'll look at it and be like, fuck this, whatever this is.
Or they don't know. There's so many scams out there now, too.
Yeah, and there's just people that just don't want to do it, which is totally cool. But trying to stay consistent and every week, put out a show so that people aren't missing out, it gets tough. But it's like, you got to set yourself up. So if you can't do it every week, then maybe you do it every 2 weeks. If you can't do that, maybe, I was telling a guy recently that does a podcast, I was like, if you're having problems scheduling enough people where you can do one episode a week or one episode every 2 weeks, I'm like, just record a bunch and release it as a season. Season 1, 10 episodes.
Okay.
And then a few months later, after you've already recorded a few more and you've already got a little bit of a backlog, drop season 2. Here's these episodes. That way you don't feel the pressure of every week. Because I do that sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, it's Thursday and I don't have anybody recorded for the podcast that's supposed to come out on. Like this one, it's Sunday. Yeah. And I'm releasing this on Tuesday. So we're going to record this. You'll bounce. Tomorrow I'm going to edit this. Uh-huh. And then Tuesday morning it'll get released.
So when the editing process, what do you have to do?
I don't really edit too much. For me it's I don't cut anything out unless it's like, oh, I got to get up and take a piss, or I got a connection issue. I'm not going to have 5 minutes of dead time where we're trying to fix a connection issue.
Right.
Something like that. So I cut that shit out. Everything else stays in. What I do, though, the biggest part of the editing is for the YouTube audience, the people that are watching on YouTube, so that the video flips back and forth. So it's not just like a solid screen with both of us on it, which is what I initially started doing.
Okay.
And then I'm like, no, I don't like that. I'd rather it be whoever's talking, full screen.
Okay.
And then it flips to the next person when they're talking. And then every once in a while it's both of us and it shows our Instagram handles,
Right.
But most of the time it's one person talking and then it flips to the other screen when it's the other person talking. So what I have to do is I have to go through and place I put the 2 video clips, because yours is recording off that camera and mine's recording here. I put that in Adobe Premiere, and then I go through and chop it up and resize the videos to make sure it's all the right size. And it's just a process, man. So if we sit here and talk for 2 hours, then that means for at least another 2 hours, I'm going to be editing. Because I'm going to watch it, and then as I'm watching it, I got to figure out, okay, I'm going to cut it here, I got to cut it here, I got to cut it here. So it's flipping back and forth. Oh, hey, I'm going to save this spot for a clip that I'm going to release later on. As a short clip, because not everybody's going to listen to 2 hours. So I release clips on YouTube, and coming soon to the audio listeners, for those of you out there, I'm going to release clips there too. But on YouTube, I have over, I think, 60 clips now. So it's just like going through and identifying what's some interesting clips that I can pull out and post to different social media, and it's a whole thing, man.
It sounds interesting, though.
It's fun, There's worse jobs to have. I consider it a job. It's like a side job.
But it is a job.
It's a job.
Yeah.
It's a job, but,
So, you were talking about not remembering people.
Uh-huh.
So, I went to the Pendleton Surf Club meeting, had it at the Moose Lodge there in Oceanside. Have you ever been to the Moose Lodge?
Man, I've always wanted to go to that.
Dude, it's cool.
It seems like you got to be like O-side, old school O-side to be part of that.
It's the old building, and it's got like...
Oh, I know where it's at.
Old foosball tables.
There's like a bar and stuff in it.
Yeah, there's a bar. Bands play there.
Yeah. Don't they have stuff like almost every weekend?
Yeah, they have all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So I go there, right? And I'm pulling in, and the parking lot's super tiny. So, you park a block away and walk. I didn't notice that at this time. Mm-hmm. So I'm barely getting my truck in there. And there's this 53 Pontiac Woody station wagon, like parked this way. So I stop and I'm taking some pictures of it and stuff. It's really cool, It's got the original straight 8 in it and the hydromatic tranny. And, so I'm checking stuff out. Anyways, go inside, start talking to this guy. And he goes, hey, man, I used to live down the street from you. and I'm not making the connection. You
Yeah.
know? And I have to be honest. I'm like, dude, I don't remember. He goes, yeah, I was like across the street and 2 houses down when we lived in the trailer park. And I'm like, I can't remember. He goes, I had the tikis in my front yard. I'm like, I know who you are, you know. But anyway, he was restoring that Woody. That was his car.
Those are cool.
Yeah, and it's called a tin Woody. So it's a metal car with the wood paneling
attached to it,
bolted onto it. It's not like the 40s ones where they were making the actual body out of wood.
Yeah. Somebody was telling me those were back in the day. Those were like junk. People were like, those were like beater cars. They're like now. It was up at South OC Cars and Coffee, that big one that they do every week up in San Clemente.
Yeah.
One of the guys was like, yeah, when we were growing up, they didn't look like this.
Yeah.
You know, now they look super nice. The wood is all super taken care of and stained and looks, you know, they got the surfboards on it and everything looks really cool.
Yeah, it has a style.
Yeah, they're like, man, back in the day when these were like actual beach cruisers, most of them were pretty beat up.
Yeah.
You know, like falling apart and shit.
Well, it's so hard to take care of that wood. It needed to be treated like your front porch or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
especially when you're driving it to the ocean to surf and shit every day.
Yeah, it's like your deck. It's out in the sun all day. It's getting hit by shit down the highway. You know.
That's funny. Yeah, classic cars is definitely an easy thing to get into, or cars in general. I think when you have a lot more free time, especially if you're like, you know, if you're mechanically inclined.
Yeah.
It's just fun to tinker with stuff and like take things apart, you know,
and fix it. Like the guy, he was telling me he's never did an automatic transmission before. And he took that 1953 Pontiac early auto, took it apart, you know, bought the manuals online, the actual paper book manuals, took it apart, rebuilt it, put it back in there, and got it working.
The crazy thing is now everything's on YouTube. So if I don't know how to take out a whatever transmission, all I got to do is go to YouTube, set up a tablet or my phone underneath the car with me, and then literally have someone there explaining how to do it step by step.
Yep. If I could get past, some people are not very good video makers.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's 10 minutes of them talking about their Uncle Bob's ribs.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Well, they're just trying to get some duration.
I'm just like, dude, just tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, something like that's always cool stuff. That'd be cool to have a car page and like do like maintenance videos like that. You know, because when I was a kid, I think Saturday or Sunday mornings, it used to be on one of the shows, one of the channels, it was all car stuff.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, hot rods getting worked on, and there was like a truck show, and it was just all these different modifications. Yeah. And obviously they make it look super easy.
Yeah. Well, that you don't realize that's the best cut.
Yeah.
That 10-minute video of the guy changing the brake pads was actually 3 hours because he broke a bolt.
Well, and they're pros, and they have every tool that you need, and everything's brand new. And I honestly, a lot of the stuff is actually very easy to do. Yeah. People are too intimidated to do it. My maintenance guy for my apartment building rear-ended my Jeep. Yeah, I know. Great, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I went out there to look at it, and it was fucked up. I'm like, it has the plastic bumper cover. Right. And then the metal piece was bent a little bit. It was the rear bumper. And I'm like, dude, you're going to have to call your insurance, you know, for that. That's an actual, like, if it was just a little ding, I wouldn't really care. But if it's actual damage. And his insurance company was like, hey, it's going to be, I think it was like either $1,000 or $1,500. Like, you can either bring it to this body shop and they're going to replace the back bumper. And you know, or we can cut you a check, and you can get it's either $1,000 or $1,500, whatever it was. And I'm sitting thinking, I was a mechanic in the Marines. I was like, it can't be that hard to replace a bumper. It's got to only be a couple bolts, right? Yeah. And so I got online and looked, and I'm like, it is only a couple bolts. And for this price, I can literally get a front bumper, a back bumper, and rock guards for the sides.
Oh, that's cool.
And just put it all on myself. Yeah. So that's what I did.
Yeah, and that's the way you do it, man.
And it was literally between doing the front and back bumpers, there's probably maybe a total hour's worth of work in that. You know? But how much money? I mean, I saved. The only reason I was able to do that is because I wasn't intimidated by it. It was literally 8 bolts. I think it was literally 8 bolts total for the front and back.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know, but most people won't do it because they just don't know. They've never worked on a car.
Well, and there are things that go wrong. I did my daughter's 1990. It's a 90 Camry. Mm-hmm. So the front bearing went bad.
Okay.
Wheel bearing, right? They're freaking pressed in at the factory.
Okay.
So.
Just got to get a good flathead screwdriver in there and
oh, man.
Pop that bitch out.
It's getting the new one in.
Yeah.
So what I did was I took it apart. Now, I don't know this at the time. There's 2 bolts at the top that hold the strut on.
Okay.
Those are your caster and camber bolts.
Okay.
But you don't know that when you pull them out. I pull them out because they hold the piece on I need to take off, right? So I get this whole thing off, get it apart, get the old bearing out. I had to. Oh man, I went to Harbor Freight and I got the Chicago electric impact wrench.
Okay, yeah.
$40.
Nice. I got a DeWalt one in there.
It's freaking badass, dude. It like.
Yeah.
You know, like you're in a real shop, right? So I get it out, get the new bearings in, you know. So I put the new races in the freezer, and I put the hub in the oven. And I ran the oven like 500 degrees for 2 hours.
Jeez, really?
Yeah. Take it out, you know, got mitts, put it in a vise. I grabbed the race out of the freezer, and it slips halfway in. And I'm like, yes. You know, I don't have to, because I called a couple machine shops. They're like, oh, liability, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I go to press it back in with the impact wrench. That was the mistake because I shattered the freaking the bearings.
Ah.
Because they were frozen.
Yeah.
And I got it. It slid in halfway. And
you didn't just tap it in?
Well, I could have just tapped it in. But I wanted to play with my thing, my new toy.
Yeah.
And I had a big socket on there. And I was like, brrr, and it went in, and it was all the way in. And when it bottomed out, it shattered the freaking bearings. Cost me $800.
Ooh.
That's what that replacing one of those bearings costs. $800.
What?
I was into that job. With tools and, you know, certain sockets I needed and breaker bars, things I didn't have.
Yeah.
I was into that job for like $300. And but she needed the car. So I bolted it all back together, drove it to the shop with one bearing.
That's sketchy.
Doing this.
Yeah.
And the guy at the shops, he's cool. He's a Motor T guy. And he's like, dude, I'll get it. He got it down to like $740. He goes, but normally what they do now is instead of replacing bearings, they just buy the whole hub. The whole hub is like $350. And they just take it out and it's the strut and all these. Anyways, that shit's not on YouTube. And I wish I would have put it on there. There's nothing for that car on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's the model before, like 88 and older.
Yeah.
And 92 and newer, but nothing for that particular model. And afterwards, I'm like, damn, I wish I would put that on there.
See, if the former Action brand grows, that's the kind of stuff I'd like to do. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Because right now I got Former Action Guys podcast. I got Former Action News. I'd like to do Former Action Photography, you know, or Former Action Outdoors, Former Action Off-Road. You know, I got ideas. I just got to find people that want to be part of it.
Right.
Because I look at it kind of like Barstool or Meat Eater or something like that, where they have people that are good at whatever it is they're doing, and they just let them run it. Like, here's a social media channel. You're the hunter. You do it all the time.
Right.
I may like shooting and stuff like that, but you're the actual pro at it. So you create the stuff and you run this page, and we just pay you for that because you know what's best. But it's still under this brand. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'd like to have.
Yeah, you have to vet people a little bit.
We got to find people that's like dedicated to it.
And they'll do it on a regular basis.
Well, some people will be like, yeah, that'd be great. Let's do it. And then a few weeks into it, they're like, oh, shit. Like,
there's work involved.
There's actual work involved. Guess what? Being social media manager person or whatever takes actual work. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I think there's some cool stuff out there that I could do, you know, and having like a car channel would be awesome. And we're in the place for it. Southern California. Man. There's every kind of car here.
Yeah, I ran into my neighbor at the grocery store, right? And he's talking about selling his house. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to sell. And he's going to move down to Little Italy where his girlfriend has an apartment or whatever. And then use the extra income to travel and do things, right? And I was thinking about that. Like, yeah, I could sell. I could move to Central Texas or somewhere, you know. And probably pay off a house there with what I make off of this one. But then I'm walking around like, but SoCal is so cool. Everything is cool. There's cool cars everywhere. The weather's, you know, when we were in Texas.
There's always shit going on because there's never bad weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never have to worry about getting rained out.
You never even check the weather.
Nope.
It's probably within plus or minus 3 degrees that it was yesterday.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I'm going to wear pants today because I know it'll be cold on the drive home. Yeah. That's about all you have to think about, you know?
Yeah. It's great, man. I'm taking my kid up for his spring break. We're going to like Mount Baldy to go camping, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, now you just drive up to a campground that's 6,000 feet up, you know, and camp and hike and do that. Or we could go to the beach and be in the ocean and do whatever there. Or we go out to the desert, go off-roading. You know, we went camping in Joshua Tree about a month ago.
Yeah, there's just always something.
And it snowed on us, too, out in Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up, there was like an inch of snow on the ground. I'm like, what the fuck? It was super cold. It's the coldest it's ever been while he's been camping with me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I got him like a legit bag. You know, like a legit, like kind of like we get in the military, like the mummy-style sleeping bag. Because before he was a kid, he had like the Walmart, you know, Coleman camping special, which is good for like backyard camping or going out to the lake. But I knew it was going to be in like the 30s with some wind. You know how it gets in the desert.
Yep, you need your green bag, your black bag, and your baby sack.
So I was like, well, he's in high school now. Better, you know, it's probably time to start getting him some like good like adult camping stuff. So I got him a sleeping bag last time, like a nice REI sleeping bag. And then next time when we go for his spring break, I want to get him like a nice headlamp. You know, you just like something little every time, just so he has eventually he'll have like a really good set of good camping stuff. Yeah. You know?
You should go to Gearhound there on Oceanside and get military stuff.
Man, yeah. There's plenty of those places around. The military stuff's okay.
Dude, it's awesome.
I guess. Some of it's good.
To this day, I still take my poncho liner
everywhere.
Oh,
so do I. My poncho and poncho liner are both in my pack right now.
Yeah.
I use an Osprey pack. You know, and so there's definitely stuff that military-wise that I use. When I'm in my car, when I take my Jeep out, I take an e-tool with me.
Yeah.
You know, because that
stuff is useful. I know. I was wearing my field jacket liner. So one of the soccer fields it's at MLK Park, and for some reason the geography there, it's east and west, and I think the cold air comes off the ocean and it goes over the hill, and as it comes down into that draw, it'll be say 55 at my house. It'll be 35 at that park.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. It is. It's like going from summer to winter. You drive down to the park. Yeah, it's just with it comes down. So anyway, I'm wearing my field jacket liner underneath this jacket, and I took it off to do something, and they were like, "Oh, you took a poncho liner and made it into a jacket. That's cool." I'm like, "No, this is oh, you guys don't know what that is because they don't get field jacket liner."
Yeah,
you know.
I don't even think they make them anymore. Yeah, I think that's something you have to buy.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was like a tricolor, old school camo stuff that you guys would use.
Oh, it's green.
Yeah, but it was before.
Yeah,
it wasn't because once we went to Gore-Tex and stuff, that didn't come with it.
No, yeah, because that buttons into your field jacket.
But there were a few people. Yeah, exactly. There were a few people from back, your time frame or guys that got stuff passed on to them from their seniors that I knew. That would have those. Yeah. And you wouldn't know that because they don't issue them now, but unless someone told you. Yeah, those field jacket liners are
It's a trick.
clutch.
So you know what the trick is? You put the field jacket liner on, then put your T-shirt over it. Because the field jacket liner is that patty, puffing, and all your body heat gets held there. So I'd operate like on ship, it's all cold at night on ship. just a field jacket liner with a T-shirt and then a blouse, a regular, what's the thing's called? Woodland, the woodland pattern.
Yeah.
Just my blouse. And then all the Marines are like, "Whoa, Sergeant Offutt, he's so tough. He's out here in the freezing cold with no jacket." No, I got my field jacket liner underneath my T-shirt.
No morons.
Yeah. And it's got the armpits are a hole.
Yeah, so
you don't sweat up. You're not freezing right here.
That's the stuff I'm trying to teach my kid and stuff, like comfortably cool.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be hiking around with your coat on.
Yeah.
You put it on when you're done hiking around so that you don't get cold. Like it's the little stuff. Trying to show him how to read a map and compass and
I wish I'd have done more of that with my youngest boy.
Yeah, I was in Boy Scouts, so I got exposed to a lot of that stuff. He had asked to join when he was in like middle school. I think that's like Weeblos at that point. I think Boy Scouts is like a high school thing. But
no, Weeblos is little. Boy Scouts is like
it's Cub Scouts, Weeblos, and then Boy Scouts.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So I think you can join Boy Scouts in like 8th grade.
Okay.
I think before that it's something like that. It's been forever since I was in. But yeah, I don't know, man. But I wanted him to get out and appreciate being in Southern California.
Oh, yeah.
We got all this stuff we can do out here. Anyone that sits in this area and it's like there's nothing to do, it's like then you're a boring person.
Yeah, you're not even trying.
Yeah,
dude. The night we got to South Texas or Central Texas, it was freezing cold and the wind was blowing. The next day it was 95. That evening it was freaking torrential rains like Okinawa style typhoon.
Oh, really?
The next day it was humid and like 70. I'm like, we are so freaking spoiled.
Yeah.
But knowing the tricks, like you talk about knowing the tricks. So like you take your field jacket liner. I could wear my Aloha shirt, field jacket liner, and then like a Dickies windbreaker, like a coach's jacket.
Mm-hmm.
That blocks the water. The field jacket liner keeps you warm, and it's got cuffs, so you got the gasket.
Yeah, yeah.
Just the shit how to stay warm, how to stay comfortable,
how to stay alive.
Yep.
That's all it is, man.
And layers so that when
key.
it changes, you can just peel one off and you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of stuff I'm trying to show him. Like, hey, it doesn't, And we've been taking Taser the dog with us. He went out to Joshua Tree when it was like in the 30s, and he did all right out there. They make sleeping bags for dogs.
No way.
They're like these. At REI they had them. They're like these round, almost like you would think like a dog bed, like round.
Right.
But it unzips and half of it flips open, and they can crawl into it. And you can zip them. Zip it kind of closed, not fully closed, obviously, not kill the dog, but you can zip them into it so that they can lay inside of it and they're in their own little, if it's fucking super cold out. He was out there and I was afraid that he was going to get too cold, but he seemed to just totally love it. And it was in the 30s.
Well, they're animals, man. They live outside.
Yeah, he'd throw like a blanket off of them. He'd lay in the snow and shit. And I'm like, I don't know. So then I'm wondering what's it feel like right now when it's like 60 something degrees? Is he dying? Like it's so hot, Yeah,
I don't know. So a buddy of mine, he went. His wife went to Peru at the height of COVID. She's from Peru.
Okay.
She goes to Peru to visit her family, and then things go haywire, and she can't come back.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So he takes leave and goes down there at one point, and he's like, "Hey, can you feed my dog?" Big chocolate lab, like big as your TV, huge chocolate lab, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'll come over every day, feed him and stuff. A couple summers ago, anyways, so I come over, and poor guy, he lives in the garage, but he can go in the backyard, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna take him for a walk. So I started the first day. I walked him like 2 miles, and he comes back and he lays on the concrete of the garage
to cool off. Yeah.
Spread out all 4 legs and just lays there, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was a couple weeks that I walked him every day, and I increased the distance, and I got to where we were walking 7 miles a day. And Oceanside Boulevard, down the mountain, up the mountain. But yeah, he would come back because animals are smart, man. He's like, all right, there's a cool spot. I'll lay right there.
Yeah, yeah.
At first he was smoked.
Yeah. That's how he would, when he was younger and when I was still in, I would run with him. and he would be able to run like 5 miles.
Yeah.
You know, he would pull me for like the first mile.
Right.
The second mile, he'd start to slow down, and then like the third mile, he'd be running next to me. And when we would get back, he'd do that, come in, collapse on the cold tile, and just pant for like 5 minutes, and then, you know, kind of get himself together. But you probably ruined that dog for your buddy. He's probably like, fuck, man, now this dog expects me to walk him all over the place.
I know.
What'd you do?
And I was trying to get to 10.
He was nice and lazy.
I was trying to get to 10 miles, and I was getting my, you know, my steps in or whatever.
Yeah. So,
but I learned my lesson like after the third trip, because he was a puller too.
Yeah.
Big dog, and he would pull the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And you couldn't. He was so his wife had brought him from Peru. He was the brother of another dog, some people that moved back to Spain, and they just left him on the streets of Lima. So he was a street dog. So he would, if there was a rabbit or something or a squirrel, he would freaking try to like yank it out of your hand and take off.
Yeah, he still does that. He's 15 and he still tries to
chase the animals.
Yeah, that's only. And when I'll take him up to Balboa Park, and there's always, you know, squirrels all over the place there.
Right.
And I'll go over to a spot where there's a bunch of squirrels, and I'll just let him off his leash, or I'll let go of his leash so he can chase after them, because he's so old, he's not gonna catch them. But I know it's, you know, he loves it, and it's like good for him to try to run and stuff. But I can't let him run like he used to, because now he can barely, you know, his hips and everything like that. It would probably put him down for 2 days if he ran tried to run like a half a mile, you know.
Oh yeah.
His hips are so worn.
They get old. My daughter brought this dog home years ago. She calls me from Arizona, and she's like, "Hey, can I bring this dog home? It's a little Chihuahua." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." It ain't a Chihuahua.
Yeah.
It's a Chiweenie looking thing, fat, hairy thing. Anyways, she was an outside dog, and typical Mexican family, man. They got like 5 dogs, all over the place. You know, they come and go as they please. They live on the outskirts of Tucson area, and so they come and go as they please. The dogs do whatever they want. Go run the streets, come back. But so I'm watching them one day in the backyard, and I have a bunch of birds live in my bougainvilleas, and when they start feeding, they'll swoop down and up, do all this crazy stuff. She's sitting there watching them, and she jumped up and caught the bird mid-stride.
Oh man, caught the pattern, huh?
Yep. They do this thing, caught the bird, brought it in, and put it on my wife's foot.
Here's a gift for you.
Yeah, and then
I hope you appreciate this.
My wife's like, "Get that thing out of the house." Yeah.
I used to have a wiener dog when I was in my teens, when I was like 19, 20, or something like that. And my uncle passed away, and I got it, you know, when he passed away. It was his dog. And me and my buddies, we bought, when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, I actually moved out of my mom's house. And we got this like shitty fucking house that was like on the edge of town. I think literally like right outside the driveway was the county line. So beyond that was city. But our backyard had like a barn, like a little barn in it. And then there was like a 2-acre field behind that. And I used to let him out the back, and he would just take off. And he would just go and fucking go hunt in the field or whatever. And every once in a while, he'd come back with like a rabbit or a mole or something. And I remember I would see him chewing at the ground all the time. And I'd be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Like, stop, you know, like kick at him. Like, because he'd be getting like dirt jammed in his teeth, or he'd come back with dirt jammed in his teeth or whatever. And I'm always like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then one time I'm like, "You know what? I'm just going to let him dig." And he sat there and dug a hole, and he started just digging, and dug like 6 inches into the ground and pulled a mole out. I'm like, what?
That's
crazy. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, so that's what he's doing every time. He smells.
Yeah.
I was like, that. Well, I can't let you keep doing it because you're getting mud everywhere. But that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's cool.
That was one of the coolest things I saw.
They could smell them through the ground. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I guess, I mean, that's probably what they were bred for, you know, those burrowing animals, going after those. So
we had when I was a kid, one of my buddies, they got greyhounds, and they'd get them from the track. So I guess after they
like
race,
the rescues,
they'd rescue them from the track because after they race so much, they fuck up their nerves or something.
Yeah,
but they would use them for hunting badger.
Really?
So we had like an old '52 Chevy pickup. We go out, you know, shooting rabbits or whatever. and the dogs would jump out of the back of the truck and shoot out after the rabbits and they would. But I learned this. Rabbits can turn 90 degrees on the run. Dogs can't.
Oh yeah.
So they're freaking flying up on this rabbit, go to grab them, and they would turn, and the dog would.
Yeah.
But that's what they were used for. The greyhounds. They were cool dogs, man.
Greyhounds are crazy, man. That's one of those ones where I feel like you have to be a runner to own one, because they need to run.
Yeah, they got to run.
That's one of those things, if it's a dog meant for a certain purpose, it's like you gotta. That's like people that buy German Shepherds or the what's that other one that's like a working dog?
It's like a wolf thing.
It's like a German. It looks like a German Shepherd. It's the one that cops use a lot. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's blanking, but it's like when you own a dog like that, that's a commitment. Like if you're not training it, you're doing it a disservice.
Yeah.
If you live in an apartment with a German Shepherd and you're not taking that thing out for major walks, morning, night, and then playing with them at some point throughout the day as well, like where they could chase a ball, they're just not getting the physical activity and attention that they need.
No, you're right. That's one of the downsides to living in the city.
Yeah.
Like I never picked up dog poop in my life.
I know. I was always like, what the fuck? Who picks up dog poop?
Yeah, our dogs just. They were outside, and
that's gross, dude.
They ran off into the desert, killed stuff, brought it back, and they shit wherever they wanted.
It dried up and blew away.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Here, there's no rain. I was trying to tell my buddy because all my family lives in Indiana and stuff, and for telling them like, yeah, clean up my dog poop. It's like what? Because there rains all the time and like things happen. It's like yeah, you don't have to because that stuff gets washed away.
Yeah.
It's like part of the environment. It goes here. If my dog shits on the sidewalk because there's no grass anywhere,
right?
There's like down the street. There's a small patch of grass. For people that think I'm not serious, I'm serious. Like I live in the city. There's a small patch of grass that's probably 10 feet by 8 feet down the street a little bit.
That's funny.
And that's where a lot of the dogs will use the bathroom and stuff. But outside of that piece of grass, it's all sidewalk. If I was to just let my dog shit on the sidewalk and I left it there, it would be there until someone else cleaned it up because there's no rain. There's no nothing for it to be cleaned away.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
And that's why you see homeless piss and shit everywhere.
Oh, God. You
smell it. That's why it smells like urine when you go down to the city sometimes. If it hasn't rained in a while.
Yep.
I will drive into like downtown, and sometimes you get a big whiff of fucking piss. And it's like it's all the homeless people.
We went to the Shout House for one of the soccer girls, one of the ladies on the soccer team, for her birthday.
Okay, yeah.
Parked in Horton Plaza. And you take the ladder well down to the street, and it smelled like piss, man.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Any ladder well, they piss in that. The stairs. I remember I went to... One of my friends was in a dental program here, and she needed someone to come and like volunteer to get their teeth cleaned and shit because of the program. They have to find volunteers.
Dude.
And I parked in the parking garage, and I was going up the stairs, and you could tell some dude just took a massive dump in the stairs.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, dude, what the fuck?
So check this out. We stop in Kingman, Arizona, right, on the drive back. And going to stay at this one hotel. It's a refurbished 1940s hotel. I like that old stuff,
Yeah.
And my wife's not into it. She's like, I'm going to go along with this because we always stay where I want to stay. So anyways, I go inside, talk to the dude, get the room, pull around back, and I'm already a little leery, right? I'll tell you the Russian dude's story here in a second, but a little leery, going up the stairs, and I picked a room that was facing the mountains, so I could, the view of the mountains and stuff. And it's an old hotel. Mm-hmm. So it's like the old barracks with the catwalk on the outside, right? Open the door, open the window. I'm like, hey, we got a view of the mountain. There's a homeless dude like 100 yards from my window with his shopping cart and a little tent, and he's taking a shit.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like...
So scenic and beautiful.
I'm like, we have a view of a homeless dude taking a shit. I'm like, we're out, man. We're out. So I go back downstairs, and I'm like, hey, we ain't staying here, bro. Ain't gonna work. And he's like, oh, 24-hour cancellation. I'm like, hey, dude, I've been here 5 fucking minutes. I know what your boss says, but we're not doing this, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, let me talk to my manager. I'm like, he says I can't. I'm like, then put him on the phone with me. You know, and I'm not going to be a dick to the kid. The kid's working really hard.
Yeah, you're just a worker, man. I know you're not making the decisions here.
Yeah, you're not in charge, right? And he's like, well, I can't give out his phone number. I'm like, well, then put him on the phone with me. You dial the number and hand me the phone. Either way, I'm going to get my money back.
Yeah, or I'm going to call and dispute this charge with my credit card company.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far because I'm like, and he's like, well, I don't know what I can do. I'm like, you can grab somebody that's in charge who's allowed to make a decision, and you can let him talk to me. Or I'm going to stand right here. Now, people are backing up. So he's got another dude that's supposed to be there, but he was there a day early, truck driver guy. He was there a day early, so his room wasn't reserved by his company, this and that. And these two big fucking Russian dudes, they walk in. And they're like, hey, do you have a room? And the kid's like, yes, sir, just a second. He's like, we'll take those rooms. And the dude's as big as you are, man. And there's two of them. And I'm like, hey, he's working, man. Chill, bro. And he looks at me. He's looking down at me. And I'm like, if the dude hits him on the top of the head, I'm going to break my spine. You know? And I'm like, just relax, bro. He's doing his thing. So I'm standing. I'm not letting nobody get in front of me, right? Mm-hmm. And he's back and forth. And of course, the phone is ringing. He's trying to deal with that. He's trying to get this other guy's reservation worked out. He's got these two big fucking dudes telling him they want their room. And I'm like, leave him alone, man. He's working. And he's like, we're working too. I'm like, well, good for you, tough guy. He's like, leave the fucking dude alone, you know. So now I'm getting mad. I'm like, well, if we're going to have to fight, we're going to have to fight right now. And he's going to kick my ass. There's no doubt he's going to kick my ass. But I'm taking a fucking eye. You know? Yeah. I'm taking the eye. I'll be on the ground with his fucking eyeball, you know. So finally the kid's like, I got an idea. I'll run the card a second time, then I'll unrun it, and then I'll unrun it twice because you can't do it after one run. Like, cool, do whatever you got to do, man. So I got my money back, but it was shady, man. The place was shady, and I should have known there's no families there. Mm-hmm. It was all like, you know, road crew guys, truck drivers, you know.
Yeah, well, it's like you see a place like that and you're like, oh, this would be like, oh, old school motel, Americana, let's kick it old school. And then you get there and it's like shit. Like, what's that big steak place in Texas, in Amarillo?
Oh, yeah, Gillies?
It's on that cup. I don't know if you can see that cup right there. But there's a place
Texas?
there. Big Texas. Big Tex or Big whatever.
Yeah, the Big Texan.
Yeah, the Big Texan. They have like a thing where you eat like a 96-ounce steak in like an hour or something like that. It's free. Something crazy. But there's like a motel attached to it. It's an old Route 66 place.
Okay.
And there's a motel attached to it. And I was the same thing. I was like, oh, hey, let's stay at the motel. Like, it's classic. This is like... And it had like cow print fucking blanket... But the walls were super thin. Like, the whole thing, I was like, this is stupid. I should have just stayed.
I should have stayed at the freaking La Quinta.
Like, what the hell was I thinking here, man?
No, so there's a place in Tucson called the Congress. And it is exactly as it was in 1929 or whatever.
Yeah?
It's super cool.
That's cool.
There's no TVs in the room. There's a radio. You know, the old brass bed things. So I usually try to find one of these historic places. When I was on I&I duty, I traveled a lot, so I had to. So I'd always try to find some historic place. This was a win. Most of them are losses. You go there and there's like a homeless dude under the stairs.
Yeah.
Somebody selling drugs on the payphone. But this one's a win. Super cool, but you have to get a room that's not above one of the bars because there's two bars and a bar and two other bars that have music venues on the first floor.
Yeah.
So if you're above that,
you're just listening to that.
You're up till 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, from the
Might
bands.
as well go to the bar and party it up.
Yeah. So I go there with I make the reservations for me and the CO. We're traveling, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I trust you, man. Go for it." So I didn't know it's got super great Wi-Fi, by the way. So he was able to work on his computer and stuff. But his room was the exhaust vent was above his shower.
Nice.
So the train station is across the street for all the cargo trains. Mm-hmm. So all night he's got this train echoing, and he's like, "Dude,
man,
you got me, bro." I'm like, "I'm sorry." I got you a room that wasn't above the bar because I knew that. I learned that my first trip. But I didn't realize the building's exhaust vent is above your shower. There.
Yeah. My second MEU deployment, I grabbed a corner of the berthing area for the staff sergeants. And that was the one time, that's like the only time I ever pulled rank. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like the first day on ship, and it's like, this is where you got to go in and get all your stuff. And there were some dudes already starting to set up back there. It was like in a back corner by itself. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, sorry, dudes, get out. Yeah. Like, this is going to be for all the staff sergeants. Because if I hadn't done that, we would have just been sporadically throughout the berthing area.
Right, within the, yeah.
And for those that don't know, the E1 through E6 all live together. So you basically be living next to guys that you're in charge of, which is not, you know.
It's not conducive to.
No, I wanted to be in the same. You want to be in the same berthing area, but I don't want to be right next to you, dudes, because
I don't want to be sharing bunks. Like, I'm above
exactly
Joey Lance Corporal. It's just not. It's not conducive to good order and discipline.
Yeah. So I got that area, and then I grabbed a top rack. A lot of people like the bottom or middle racks, but I was always a top rack person because it's usually open and you can sit up and you can but next to my head and my rack was the vent for the head for the bathroom.
Oh shit.
So I would just listen to people taking a shit all the time. And it was just negative air, so it was all the air blowing into it, but it was never blowing back towards me, so I didn't smell it.
Right.
But I would just listen to people and they're just
all day long.
And then when the double dragon happened, you know, when everyone on ship got sick and everyone shitting themselves and stuff, I would just hear people and they're just fucking dying, like, oh god, and just, oh man,
oh, that's terrible.
Imagine that for 7 months as you're just laying there trying to go to bed or do whatever, you're just listening to people take dumps.
I got so lucky. My last 2 times on ship. The last time I was a first sergeant, but I was a senior enlisted Marine on that ship.
Okay.
So they put me in the officer berthing.
Oh. Nice.
So I had my own room.
Oh, okay.
It was 2 racks, but they weren't going to put any officer in with the lowly enlisted dude. So I had like a captain, a Marine Corps captain next door, and the warrant officer over here, and I had my own space, you know.
That's cool.
It was super cool. But
that's about as good as it can get on ship.
Dude, it was awesome. And the only downside was the air conditioner vent was right there. So it was freezing. Ice cold. So I blocked off the air conditioner vent.
A lot of people would do that.
Yeah.
And then the Navy guys get mad. You're like, hey, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, you're messing up the system. But I made my own TRX. Before there was TRX, I made a system, had a 550 cord and 2 handles, you know, from the rowing machine.
Yeah, yeah.
So you could put it in your carry-on bag.
Yeah.
And I hooked it to the light so I could work out in there. I could do pull-ups, dips. You know, it was like doing ring dips. I didn't know that you could just buy rings.
Yeah,
like gymnastic rings. I didn't know that. I just made it out of 550 cord. Those free carabiners they give away at like events, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And some handles. Yeah, it was freaking awesome.
What you got to do on ship.
And then you go out my door, go past the captain's room, and then there was a external door, and I had them weld me a pull-up bar right there. So there was room to do pull-ups, jump rope, burpees.
Had a full workout. Huh?
Yeah, it was a little spot. So if you want to be outside, it was decent weather. Or if it was, you know, stormy or nighttime, you could work out inside the...
Yeah, the only time we could work out outside on the LHD was if you were running on the flight deck in the morning. You know, if they allowed it. If there weren't any kind of flight operations going on, they usually allow PT on the flight deck from whatever time to whatever time, you know. And then up by there's a tower where like the people controlling the aircraft flying around, that where they all hang out, and where they're like giving them their like info as they're landing and shit. Outside of that tower, there's like a catwalk around it, kind of. Not really a catwalk, but like a platform. And they had 2 rowing machines, 2 or 3 like bikes, and like exercise bikes, and then like some kettlebells and shit. And cool. I found out about that on my first deployment on the Macon Island. And then I started going up there on my second deployment, and then they were like, this is for officer use only. And I'm like, dude, fuck that. Like, this is my second time on this ship. If someone wants to tell me to leave this area, then fuck them. You know, then they can come and tell me. I'm not just going to not... what happens is when other dudes start finding out about it, BLT dudes all start showing up and bum rush it in green on green PT gear, and you're like, damn it, you're about to ruin it for everyone.
Yep, you got 30 guys in green on green.
This is our spot. It's our secret spot. But yeah, I really got into rowing and stuff when I was out there doing that.
Yeah, that rowing machine is awesome. I buddied up with the chief that ran the metal shop, in the chief's mess, because on the small deck, the chief's mess, there's just that one chief's mess.
Yeah.
So you're eating with all the chiefs all the time. So I buddied up with those dudes, and I had them. They were welding pull-up bars all over that ship. I mean,
we had a pull-up bar in the LFOC.
Yeah, it was like everywhere. I'm like, hey, put me one here.
That's the command center on the big deck, for those that don't know. And what I would do is I would have like a 12-hour watch or like a 10-hour watch or whatever, or an 8-hour, whatever it was. And we started doing like, okay, I'm going to do one pull-up every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, which doesn't sound like much.
Oh, it's
when you're in there for 10 hours,
Yep.
Then you're starting to like, all right, I'll do it every 10 minutes. I'll do it because that one pull-up becomes very... The next day, you're like, oh, man, my lats are just...
Yeah.
Feels like you've never done pull-ups before.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. That's good stuff, though.
I did a workout one time when I worked the Crucible, and I worked the unknown distance range, Pugil sticks, and there was another event there, I forget. But anyways, the squads would come every 20 minutes, and you'd run them through the unknown distance range and the Pugil sticks, and then you'd flip them. And then once those two squads left, you had about 15, 20 minutes before the next group arrived. And there's a rope climb and a row of pull-up bars there. So I did, every time they would leave, I'd do 2 hands-only rope climbs all the way up and all the way down. And then I'd do 2 sets of max pull-ups. Usually it would be like 10 or 20 pull-ups, whatever. And then whatever I did in pull-ups, I'd double that in push-ups. And so I did that for... You'd work there 1 week, and then next week you'd have a different event. But I do that every time I was there. And I did 27 strict dead hang pull-ups.
Damn, man.
For the PFT.
That's a lot.
And Gunny was like, get off the bar, you fucking idiot.
Because I was just showing off.
I was talking shit like, hey, how many does he have? Like, he got 16. Hey, give him 4 of mine. Here, I'll do 4 for him. And then I'm like, 1 for Chesty, 1 for the core. And then Gunny was like, get off the bar.
Do you think that was the best shape you were in? Was when you were in DI? When you were in DI? Because you're running around constantly. You're not eating that much, so you're staying pretty trim.
Yeah, I was like 140-something pounds. But I don't think that was the best shape. Probably the best fighting shape.
Yeah.
Like if you were to boxing or,
the leanest you'd been.
Yeah, lean and cardio type stuff, because you're always running. You're running in
core frames,
dress
shoes, yeah.
That's the one thing that people didn't tell us. I learned right away, man, because I had leather shoes. So I got core frames for DI school because you just don't have time to polish your shoes every day.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got out of DI school, I went back to leather shoes because they breathe. And then once they break in, I could run a PFT in those things, man.
Yeah.
And core frames.
And a scratch on them isn't ruining them. Core frames, you get a smudge on it, you're like, fuck.
Dude, I kicked a Foot Locker one time, and the spring that holds the lid was broken and sticking out, and it cut the side of my shoe from like the toe to the heel. It split the leather open.
Oh, no way.
It like razor bladed it. I glued it back together with some of that shit that you fix PVC pipe with.
Yeah.
That you glue the PVC pipe. I glued it back together with that black glue, sanded it, and polished over it, and used them for 2 more years.
That's hilarious.
I'm like...
Instead of just buying a new pair.
Oh, hell no. Because I buy the leather soles.
Yeah.
So they were like... At that time, they were like $50. Now they're like $112. But...
And you can take those to the cobbler and get them replaced, right?
Yeah.
Repaired.
And that leather sole, it's slippery. That's the only... You got to watch out you don't slip.
Yeah.
But it's way better. It's easier on your feet. Other guys... Because wearing those shoes in the sun, you know how it is wearing those shoes in the sun. Well, you're in the sun on the parade deck. Mm-hmm. It's like your feet are on the comal. You're making tortillas out of your feet.
Oh yeah. Real hot for sure.
Yeah.
And when I was at Paris Island, the 3rd Battalion parade deck was solid black. It wasn't like the main side one that they had. Now everybody uses it at Paris Island, but the 3rd Battalion one was solid black with the 3rd Battalion logo in the middle of it. and then the other one was like it was concrete, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It's
asphalt?
like that lighter. No, it wasn't asphalt.
Oh.
Yeah. It was super hot.
We had
that motherfucker.
We had an alpha inspection. Some general came or something, right? I don't remember, And we did an alpha inspection, and he walked through and talked to people and stuff. And you know how your shoes would turn purple because the whatever the polish, the dye in the polish.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It would turn purple when it got hot. It would start to melt, and it would turn purple.
Oh.
And get like dusty. And we're out there. We're on the pavement, but there's dirt all around, right? And there's two things about this thing that freaking cracked me up. The first one was he asked the guy next to me. So the CG asked the guy next to me, like, he's like, "How long you been out here?" He means out here in California, Camp Pendleton, right? The kid goes, "Oh, about 25 minutes, sir." And the general starts laughing, right? And the guy on this side, he goes, "Don't think of Rudolph when you see him." What the fuck are you talking about? So the general steps in front of me, and he had a skin condition where his nose was red as fire.
Oh, really?
Because he'd been out in the sun. He had like no pigment right here.
Oh.
And so he had this like a clown, big red nose. And man, I was like, this dude dicked me over because I'm trying not to.
Now that's all you're thinking about.
That's all I'm thinking of, And he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Good, sir. How are you?" And ask you about,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever what's your specialty? "I like killing people," whatever. But the whole time I'm trying not to say anything about Santa Claus or Rudolph.
Yeah. Man, good times.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think we're about 2.5 hours into it.
Are we?
Yeah. I think we should probably wrap it up. Do you wanna? Did you bring a list of stuff to promote this time?
I brought.
I know you did last time. Okay,
Yeah.
You wrote it down. You said before you're like, I gotta write this shit down because I always forget.
Yeah, I always forget, and then I can't get my dates and shit right. But it's for the Pendleton Surf Club.
Okay.
So, let's see. This is from the last meeting. There's a couple of so the Pendleton Surf Club serves military personnel.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's a bunch of other community stuff like the Surf Madonna Project. It's kids with disabilities, get them in the water. Amp Surf, veterans clinics. They do them all up and down the coast. On Fridays at DMJ's, which is the Del Mar Beach.
Jetty.
Yep,
Yeah.
Del Mar Jetty. From 11 to 2, there's surf sessions.
Hmm.
So these guys, I haven't done it yet, but they'll haul all the equipment out there. All you got to do is show up, suit up, and get in the water.
Nice.
And there's guys that are really good. They'd be like, "Hey, this is how you get up," or whatever.
Yeah.
There's another one, the Urban Surf Young Adults Foster Care for Orphanages. Take them out. And the Jimmy Miller Foundation is every other Tuesdays at DMJ's at 9 o'clock. So those are just some of the things that the club does for the community. In the meantime, you can go out there and surf with these guys. And like, since I broke my back, my skill level is way down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like starting over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At first it was fear. Like, I didn't want to get pommeled again.
Oh, yeah.
So I would kind of get scared a little bit.
Dude, people don't realize the power of those waves until you've been knocked down by one.
Dude.
Getting a little death spiral a little bit.
Oh, I hit the bottom of my head at the top of my head on the bottom of the ocean so hard.
That's sketchy. That's how people die.
I broke 3 vertebrae, compressed my neck, blew out my eardrums. I was jacked, man.
That's not that, but for people that haven't tried surfing and then that makes them nervous or whatever, it's not normally like that.
No, I've been surfing since the 90s.
This is the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah, it's the first time I've gotten hurt. Now I will tell you the MRI guy was like, "You're the first person I've seen with this type of injury that's not dead or paralyzed."
Yeah, that's
But he was like,
you're lucky, man.
He's like, "You got to stay in shape. You got to train." He goes, "Because," he goes, "What do you do?" I'm like, I try to do is, pull-ups, shrugs, burpees, whatever I can do with my injuries. He goes, "Yeah, you got to do that stuff because the back muscles were strong enough to hold everything together."
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, back to the point. So these guys are real good about like giving you tips and stuff and help you. So if you're a non-surfer, never tried it, but you want to try it, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
You know, because there's cool guys out there that can do like the coffin where they lay down on their surfboard and then they stand up and they're on the nose.
Yeah, yeah.
They can do crazy shit.
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
walking up and down the board and stuff.
Yeah. You know,
I think people definitely need to get out and try more outdoor stuff if they're in the area. I mean, you know, something I found out within the last like 6 or 8 months was down at Balboa Park. They have an archery club.
Really?
You can actually go down there. They have a walking archery course with like 10 targets where you're walking and shooting from, 10 to 50 yards or whatever at Balboa Park.
Wow.
Right here in the middle of San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time I saw a guy walking there with his bow. He had a super nice compound bow, and I'm like, people actually use that thing. I thought it was something that was like there but not actually used.
Yeah.
And then I found out it was like a legit, like, they do competitions, they do shooting competitions, they do all kinds of stuff. And it's right there by the Prada, whatever it's called, area in Balboa Park. Yeah.
Yeah, people got to do that stuff. There's an archery club on Camp Pendleton. My neighbor actually started it back when he was, like, I think he was a staff sergeant.
That's cool.
It was already existed, but it wasn't. Nobody was maintaining the ranges,
Yeah.
and he did all that. Got it all because he's a big outdoorsman.
There used to be a huge archery place at Lejeune. I remember they had a big outdoor archery area when I was out there. I'm sure they still do. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like that. You can go shooting on base. We'd go to the range and go shoot. I take my kid. It's cheap, like, I don't know. People need to find hobbies though, but
and you got those are the skills you need for the. I asked my broker
for the apocalypse.
Yeah, you know how you ask your broker, what should I invest in? Ammo and canned foods.
Yeah, I was during the pandemic. Every time I went to the grocery store, I bought 2 cans of soup.
Yeah.
I was like, might as well just buy 2 cans of soup, whichever ones are on sale. So I'm not,
That's right.
I'm getting a variety and I'm not spending a lot.
Yep.
And just over time, I ended up with like cabinets full of soup. But it's like, hey, that's a nice thing to have if something happens.
Yeah, and you don't need as much food as you think you do.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll take in 1,000 calories of.
We're gonna go take in some more of those ribs here in a minute.
I know those freaking ribs came out good.
Hey man, it's cheating on the smoker, on a pellet smoker.
Yeah,
it's too easy. But yeah, man, that's it for the show. Hit up my pages at Former Action Guys and at Former Action News. jkramergraphics.com is my website. My Anglico homies can hit up anglicoshop.com. And that's it. We'll catch you on the next one.
Right on.